What have you learned this year in 2025? How is that going to affect what you do next year? What are you going to do differently in 2026? Welcome to this year's New Year's special of Leading with Integrity. And today we are talking about lessons, inspirations, and aspirations, from self-awareness and discovery to growth, to goals, networking, private jets, resilience, health, succession planning, Star Trek as well gets snuck in there under the radar, AI, the future of humanity, time and space, and so much more. What started out as a conversation with a slightly smaller group of returning guests compared to the Christmas special was supposed to be about their lessons from this year, their goals and plans and aspirations for the new year, what they've been proud of in their business and so on. Quite quickly ended up going down some wonderful forks in the road with tangents on the meaning of life, the future, what it could all look like for humanity and the workplace, as well as some of our individual careers and businesses. I really enjoyed it. As always, the tangents are always more fun, to me at least. I hope you agree. If you're still listening or watching, then the answer to that is probably yes. So once again, it's a multi-guest episode to end the year. This time with 9 amazing humans, each reprising their roles, as it were, to chat with me about what their year's been like, what they've learned, what aspirations they have for the next. So in order of appearance, those people are Drew Dudley of Day One Leadership, Emma Friendship Kilburn of Empower Sales and Marketing, Gary S. Chan, the Security Mentalist, Kelly West, co-founder of Only Networking, David Bates of Paravel LLC and author of the book Engineering Wisdom, Daphne Valsin, executive coach, keynote speaker, and of course runner of her own business, Valsin Strategic Solutions. Scott J. Allen makes another return appearance. You may remember him from last year's New Year special. And then last but not least, it's Emily and Alan Braithwaites of Yellow Tuxedo and the Digital Circus. So some great perspectives in this episode on New Year, lessons learned, the power of change, resilience, goal setting, and more. As I say, I really loved recording all of these. I'm sure you're going to enjoy listening to them as well. So without further ado, let's get the first one on.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast. Leadership talk for the modern manager. With your host, David Hatch.
Drew, welcome back again. It is New Year's Eve 2025. The next year is just round the corner. Thanks for coming back again.
Oh, my friend, I hope that we get to do a lot more of these.
Yeah, me too. So let's kick off with the big question then. What is your biggest lesson learned from 2025?
My biggest personal lesson out of 2025 is be quiet. Honestly, I came to the realization that if I wanted to learn more about the world of speaking, I needed to talk less. And that I was surrounded by so much brilliance in my life. And I, for whatever reason, kept thinking it was my job to make sure that conversations moved forward. And so I filled every silence with my voice. And one thing 2025 taught me is that if you lose the worry of having to fill silence, like it's your responsibility, what you're actually doing is portrayed or seen by others sometimes as the arrogance of thinking that it's got to be your voice that fills the silence. And when you always do it because you feel it's your responsibility, what happens is people don't offer genius because they just wait for you to slide in with your voice. And I learned in 2025 that I learn less from my voice than I do from other people's.
That's a great lesson. That is a great, and it's so applicable for leadership as well, isn't it? I'm a lot more introverted than you, I think. So it's fair to say. So the staying quiet part for me has always come naturally. I've never struggled with that. But it is, I almost have the opposite problem. I actually need to force myself to talk sometimes, which is actually why this podcast has been very helpful for me. Anyway, I digress. So the leadership side of it, I think there is that kind of big myth, isn't there, around leaders and what we're expected to do when we're in the room, whatever the room is, and how we should be the ones. And it's a misconception, definitely. It's a myth, maybe, is that leaders are the ones who speak first and, as you say, to borrow your phrase, drive the conversation forward. But it's so not right. Like it's you've got to listen first, and you're right as well, bringing up the arrogance word, because I think especially introverts, we do perceive leaders who are like that as arrogant, as not wishing to take other people's points of view on board. And so, I mean, it's a lesson that I learned as a follower. And then the second I became a leader, I forgot it. And it's one of those great struggles, I think, of people who are in those sort of roles and when they're doing it for the first time as well. So such a great lesson. Thank you for sharing that.
It's my pleasure. It's really hard. And it's interesting what you said is that you think you're a lot more introverted than I am. You are a lot more introverted than I act. And I don't think I am actually an extrovert at all. I think I'm weird. And when I was a kid, weird came off as uncomfortable for people. And when I try to explain what I meant by my weirdness, people would not listen to the end because it was such a big thing in my head that I'd over-explain and I'd say too much and then they'd tune out. And so in order to be less weird, I created a character who is the guy that you and audiences and people online see and liked, or at least while I was on stage, they clapped for that person. And the other version of me, the weird version, was always told to shut up or be normal. And this new person, the Drew with the quotation marks around his name, got standing ovations. And so I thought that is who I need to be liked. And I spent so much time in Drew in the quotation marks that I forgot how to be the weird, quiet guy who actually doesn't want to talk. But when silence made me feel like I didn't matter, I ran away from silence for 30 years, maybe 40. And so I'm actually trying out for 2026, the quiet, don't like to make eye contact, speak slower, weird guy, because I'm way more comfortable as him. But I'm very uncomfortable being him. I'm not sure if that made sense, but I like being the quieter, don't talk as much guy. But after 35 years of doing the exact opposite, people think there's something wrong now when I go back to what I actually think is my real skin. And the hardest transition for 2026, my friend, is going to be to play a person not in quotation marks, because it's the guy in quotation marks that people I thought were impressed with, and that's the guy who gets paid. And so I don't love him as much, and he's hard. That dude is hard to carry.
Yeah, I can see the pressure mounting there quite easily. It's an interesting one there, that like the whole introvert and extrovert. I feel that's a whole area where people misunderstand it as well. And you're right, I fell straight into that assumption, didn't I? And I know better.
Oh no, and I wasn't picking on you for it, because it's
no, I know.
I made the same one.
Yeah, the way I really like to think about introversion and extroversion is less about like the stereotypes of it. It's not so much about whether you're loud and happy to talk or whether you sit quietly in the corner or whatever. I think that the explanations that make the most sense to me are about where you get your energy from and how you recharge. So in the case of an introvert, you need the alone time, or we need the alone time to kind of recharge the batteries a bit. But that doesn't mean we can't in other times be more sort of classically extroverted and go and speak to rooms full of hundreds of people like you do, or who knows how many on the internet, but I don't really see them, so it doesn't count like I do.
It does demo you, though. Like, my hands shake after now, and people, you were great on stage, and people want to say nice things, and that's cool. But when someone's saying something honest and heartfelt to you, you need to connect. You have to be there. You have to be like, okay, wait, plug into what this person's giving you, because to us, maybe I'll put myself in your category as introverts. What happens, I think, as you get older, you tell me, is that you become much more aware of the value of your energy. Did you find that?
I did, but I've also found as I've got a bit older, maybe it's because I went into business by myself, so there was literally nowhere to hide. I've become far less introverted than I used to be. And I wonder if maybe it is the solo business owner thing. Like, if I don't do it, nobody else will, so I have to put myself out there. And maybe it is because where I was working before wasn't great in terms of giving people a voice or listening when they spoke in the nicest possible way. So it's maybe a bit of both. And then, growing up, I was quite often the quiet kid in most settings as well. I'd rather be sat with a book in the library than running around screaming at people or whatever. So I don't know. It's a funny one. It is a funny one.
Are you better now at being extroverted, but it still drains you? Or when you say you're getting better now, are you able to be an extrovert and slow down how much it takes out of you? Or have you just gotten better at being able to turn it up to extroversion, but it still takes it out of you?
It's a good question. I think it's context dependent for me now. So there are certain things that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I never would have done. Like, I would have cringed at the very thought of it. Like hosting a podcast, for example, would be pretty high on that list. Or going to a networking meeting, or talking to people I've never met before. But now, I have to do that. And actually, I kind of quite enjoy it now as well, especially podcasting. I love the networking thing. I kind of feel like I was missing out for most of my career now. But I think there's still that, maybe it's a confidence thing as well. There's still that new thing, the new experience, if it's something I haven't done before that requires those extroverted kind of skill sets, then it definitely, it really drains me 100%. Yeah. And big numbers of people as well. Like groups of sort of 10, 20 is fine. More than that, again, don't know why. What's the difference, right? It's just, intellectually I know that, but
I think 2025 also taught me how much effort you put into adapting your behavior to be more acceptable to what other people want. Particularly being willing to extract yourself from situations that are making you feel overwhelmed. And one thing about a world that better understands different styles of personalities, where neuroatypical behavior is not seen as something to be ashamed of, or neuroatypical wiring is not something to be ashamed of, is that people are more open to people saying, hey, I got to bail for an hour, and it is not personal. And it is not that I'm not having a good time. And it is not that I don't love you. It is that I no longer have anything left in my emotional tank. And your hand starts to shake. There's a physiological toll that comes from playing a character. And so when people say I'm becoming more extroverted or more introverted, my question to myself always is, am I becoming more extroverted or introverted? Or am I becoming more comfortable with the behaviors that come with each? Because my energy is not recharging any faster. It still takes time, but I'm more aware of what impacts it, and I'm more okay with protecting it. That's a big thing that 2025 has taught me, is that it's going to be hard to be quiet because it's going to be different. And then people who care about you are going to worry about you. And it's weird to say, no, I'm actually just finally allowing myself to be the guy I am. And I'm not turning myself on for you. And no, that's a weird statement, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you don't have to turn yourself on for people anymore. You just always have to like and respect them, but you don't have to make them like you. And 2025, one of the biggest reflections for me, my friend, is people will like you more if you don't try to make them like you. Like there's a fine line, I guess, between not caring about what people think and acting like you don't care about people. And that's the really hard line to walk, I think. That's what 2026 is going to be about, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think you're right. I think people, especially in like workplace settings, are way more understanding about boundaries and where we each choose to set them than they might have been. Although having said that, like I only have my own experience to go on for that. Like if I was an employee working for a boss, I might have a different experience of that. But I do feel like certainly all the business owners that I speak to regularly, if something happens and you just can't make a meeting at like 5 minutes notice or whatever, it used to be that would get you a bit of stick afterwards. Whereas now people just, that's cool. You know, life happens, you do what you need to do and that's it. And it never has to be talked about again. And I think that's a really positive change, actually. That gives me optimism. That does.
Yeah, the recognition that your best work happens when you're in a particular mindset, physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and that isn't always going to happen on command. It's not always going to happen between 9 and 5. And that, man, if I hire someone who between the hours of 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. is a genius, but I want him to be able to turn that on in an 8:30 a.m. board meeting, no, I'm setting us all up for failure. And I think you're right that there's a better understanding that people are unique in how they process and how they produce, and that trying to shove that circular peg into the square hole doesn't help anybody. And you can have the most talented person in the world, but they're not talented before noon. So why are you trying? If you're one of those people, why are you thinking there's something wrong with you for hating getting up at 8 a.m.? You're dumb at 8 a.m. I'm dumb until noon. Every hour I spend awake before noon does not make the world better. So why not just tell people I start work at noon? I have that freedom. You have that freedom. Not everyone does, but bosses who are like, yeah, okay, I don't care. Like the fact that we schedule or that we create workflows for entire companies based on when it's convenient to have meetings for most people. Like, come on. I've stopped apologizing as much for saying the world's going to adapt to the way I work best. And if you're hiring me to work best, that's the way it should be. You know what I mean? I write in my emails now, it says text me or I'm not checking email for 3 days, because email is a destroyer of creativity. And if I want a new book or a new speech, I was like, I want to not have to look at my email for 3 days. So I just now tell people if they email me, email usually takes 2 to 3 business days to even look at. If you need me, text me. And here's why. And honestly, man, my email's gone down 80%. My productivity's gone up a lot more.
Nice. Yeah.
Just managing people and saying, yeah, I don't answer emails every day because it doesn't work for me. And if you want to hire me, that's not working for you. And everyone seems okay with it, because as long as you let yourself be weird, as long as you're good, people will put up with weird now. It's eccentric. And just realizing that weird is not something to be ashamed of. As long as you produce amazing stuff for people. Whatever service you're offering, if you do an amazing job at it, you can be unapologetically you in 2026 doing so, because you've got people. The internet allows you to find your people and them to find you like at no other time in human history. That's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of embrace the weird. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Like the Austin concept, right? But
yeah.
Don't be disrespectful, but too many people confuse annoying with harmful. And my reflection on 2025, maybe honestly, David, my biggest realization that changed my perspective on the world in 2025 was that the worst things about me are annoying and not harmful. And
Yeah, I mean
honestly, it was
that's
so liberating, man.
yeah, I think you're right. We get in our own heads too easily, don't we? And it's very easy to worry about that one thing that really, really bothers us, but everyone else in the world probably never even notices. And
Hey,
it's a thing.
yeah, and thank you, Big Bang Theory, for in many ways like putting somebody like on the spectrum on TV and making people go, "Oh, that's how your brain works." It all seemed
Mm,
like a joke, but it was very much about look at how different the world looks from different people's eyes. And when you actually hear it, you don't go, "Well, that's stupid." You go, "Oh, well, yeah, if you have that assumption, that perspective makes total sense." But how can you have that assumption?
mm,
Oh, okay, I see how you got there. And then all of a sudden you realize nobody's in the wrong. Is you didn't know they didn't see the world the way you did. And they didn't know, and nobody knew what they didn't know. And so nobody understands that simply by asking other people to process the world the way you do. And any time that you get angry at someone for looking at the same information and coming up with a different result in their mind, what you're doing is getting mad at them for not thinking or seeing the world the same way you do. But until we become aware of how dramatically different those views are, we don't understand how incredibly impactful the difference can be. And once you see it, oh, wow. It's not that you're inconsiderate or you're stupid or you don't care. It's you just didn't see it. And when I started seeing this year stuff that was right in front of me that I didn't see, and then my friends were like, "Oh, we thought you were just being dense or you wouldn't accept it or you didn't care or you just were wanted to be yourself." And you sit there and you go, "No, I didn't know I behaved like that, or I didn't know that I missed this, or I had no idea that that was going on." And they're like, "How could you not see it?" And I think to myself, I just didn't. And then when people realize you're not lying to them, that you just didn't see something that annoyed them because they're like, oh, they know it and they don't care. Everyone takes a step back and goes, oh, well, crap. If they didn't know, oh, I've been a dick. You know what I mean? Like if they didn't know, I've been a jerk. And then it's really hard to realize, oh, I didn't know. And they
mm,
didn't know. And honestly, man, 2025 has been a year of assumption challenging for me, of
yeah.
saying, man, if that thing that I believed was true isn't, how effing wrong have I been for like, in some cases, 30 or 40 years? And at this point at the end of the year, you got two ways to look at it, I figure. Either be like, oh my God, that's 40 years of effing up. Or, wow, I got probably 25 or 30 of fixing it. And that's going to be so cool. There's so much about the world I haven't discovered yet because there were parts of the world I wasn't capable of seeing. And instead of being mad about it, we can see it as an opportunity. I'm pretty psyched about it, my friend. I really am.
I can tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
and rightly so, I think. I mean, it's that assumption point. I mean, it's so human, though, isn't it? We all, especially when we're looking at others, like the key assumption is, well, it's about themselves. Of course, they know, and that's very much not the automatic truth, is it? Like,
It's about themselves, of course. You just really like summarized it in one sentence. Like people you can't imagine that they don't know because it's about them.
yeah,
And it's wild when someone, and then when you find out it's the reason people push back isn't because they're in denial. It's because to accept it opens up like a lifetime of reliving interactions, right? So
mm,
you're like, oh, if that's true, I have to go and reassess about 4,000 conversations with just one person with that new knowledge. And it's scary and upsetting. Like if you've ever been through it, like, oh, like, yeah, it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
was kind of a jerk there. And the first time you realize that, and then you realize there's about 15 more years of those to think about, often you just shut her down and go, well, let's just dismiss that then and just stick with the old assumption. It's easier.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through it to a very small extent, just in like developing how I've looking back on things I said and did at periods of high stress, for example, but nothing like what you're talking about, I don't think. But I guess the question when you hit that point though is like, it's a question of severity, isn't it? Like, is it bad enough that you need to go and phone all those people up and apologize? Or is it okay to just be like, okay, look, I didn't know then, draw a line now, I know now, so in future I will.
This is
that's a
this is the
personal
before
question,
and
isn't
after
it?
line.
Yeah.
And I think in some cases it's some and some it's the other. Like some, and you say it's very context specific, but when you do it, I think you're going to have more that you say, okay, here's the line from here on in. And honestly, as someone who goes through 12 steps or in rehab, that is a big thing is, okay, here's the line. You cannot change what happened before. But at the end of your life, you could look back and say, from this day onward, I never did it again. And I think, you talk a little bit about social justice and feminism, for instance, which can be a dirty word for some people. But, as a straight middle-aged white guy, I came to realize that, oh, there's all these things I did that hurt people I wasn't aware of. And now I've been made aware of it. And I can either see that as a threat because now I have to be accountable for everything I did before. And that makes me a bad person. And that's why I've been told it. Or realize that what I'm being asked is not to undo everything I did in the past. It's impossible. What I'm being asked to do is accept that they were damaging, not so that I go and phone everybody and apologize for it. Although in some cases that is warranted, but more so to be like, so you never do it again. And most of my friends who work in the DEI, social justice, feminist speaker space kind of explained to me, it's like, I don't point this out to you, Drew, so that you feel bad. I don't point it out to you because I blame you. Even if you were part of the problem, doesn't mean I blame you. What I'm telling you now is that you didn't know you were hurting people. I believe you are someone who doesn't want to hurt people. So I'm telling you, if you don't stop it, you'll keep hurting people. Because you've been wrong every time you did it before. So now just don't ever be wrong again now that you know. And I'm like, oh, it's not about blame, but it is about accountability. And it's about whether you ever want that character to show up in your book again. Or are they different now? And that's been that perspective over the last 2 or 3 years, or 4 or 5, I guess, as I've understood it better, I now see you can apply it to your own life and say, oh, you can draw a line and say, this is the before and after of Drew, of David, and say, I don't care how many times I've done it before now, there will be a day in my life where I can look back and say, I never did it after that. And that allows you to see yourself as a person who doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Like if I never do it again, I am now a person who no longer does X damaging thing. Oh, you've done it 100 times in the past. I know, but not since that day. And so I am now a person who doesn't do it, but I've seen you do it. I don't deny that I have. I am no longer a person who does it. Yeah, but you did it before. I can't change that. But I'm not going to look and say, well, I did it before. So screw it. Let's just keep doing it. I think we can do that in all kinds of parts of our lives. And it's weird. New Year's is an arbitrary day. But if it gives us that onus, like that clear delineating line, let's do it,
Yeah.
Why not? It's arbitrary, but why not use it?
Yeah. It's as good a day as any, isn't it? Yeah. I think, without straying into like politics or more controversial issues, I think what you've hit on there, in my brain anyway, it's part of the danger of treating every like ethical question as a moral absolute or there's an absolute right or wrong. right? And it's because a lot of these things are contextual, they've changed over time, they're about individuals as well. And there is that like understandable ignorance a lot of the time as well. But also like those people who say the things to you, like, because I know you're a sort of person who doesn't want to hurt anyone, I'm telling you now, that's such a great kindness. And yet so often people who do that, who offer that kind of guidance, if you like, get defensive reactions, get called horrible names. I'm not mentioning any particular issue. I'm sure everyone in the audience can guess one or two of them from recent years. And I just think it must be so exhausting to just keep making yourself do that and offer that sort of insight to people when you know probably half the time at least you're just going to get slapped in the face as a result. So I can only applaud those people. I wish I had that courage.
Yeah, well, it's that weird combo of honesty, kindness, courage, strength, and forgiveness, right? Because when you tell someone something like that, you are threatening them, and not in a bad way, but you're saying to them, oh, by the way, here's something that was going to make your brain backpedal. And we physiologically react to that. And so, you're telling someone that hurts them, that attacks their own self-concept. And attacking your own self-concept can be so scary, your brain will go to great lengths to avoid it. So you have to go in being ready to forgive your friend for being mean to you after you point out something to them that hurts them, with the overarching thing saying, I think you said something kind there. I don't think you're the type of person who wants to hurt people. And asking people their intention, I found, is really helpful. Like, when you said that, what was your hope? And most people don't realize that they just sounded mean, or they sounded angry, or they sounded dismissive. And I heard a great speaker recently was talking about a very difficult 2 years she had after she lost someone close to her, and how the person she loved most in the world and had been there for her at every step pulled her aside and said, I think you would want to know this. I know you are grieving, but it is manifesting as anger at everyone. And I just wanted you to know that. And that was it. It wasn't judgmental. It was, I don't know if you're aware, but your pain is manifesting as anger. And if you are aware and you're making that choice, that's your choice. But I know you, and I don't think you'd make that choice, but you are unconsciously choosing. And I think that's a gift. And I look back, and when it was finally pointed out to me, certain behaviors, at first you get really angry, and then you get angry that you weren't told sooner. And you move through, like, it's not the 7 stages of grief. It's like the 7 versions of anger, just to get, like, each of the stages of grief has like 7 of its own stages. And anger, it's like anger at them, and then anger at them for a different reason, and then anger at them for a different reason, and anger at yourself for being angry at them. Oh my gosh. It's like, someone told me this, man, and it's worth thinking of this year. You talk about revelation from this year. Anger is not an emotion. Anger is a combination of emotions. Fear is a singular thing. Afraid is a collective. And when we say things like, I'm afraid or I'm angry, we are actually just like doing a big overview of how we feel. You're not angry. You're frustrated and humiliated and hurt. And when you mix those 3 up into a cocktail, you get anger. But anger is a cocktail, right? And sometimes it's vodka based, which could be jealousy. And sometimes it's bourbon based, which could be frustration. And sometimes it's gin based, which is jealousy or whatever. And then some drinks you mix a little bit of tequila in with a little bit of vodka, and then a couple of little mixes, and you got your own version of anger. And anger is made up of like a wildly unique mix of frustration and jealousy and embarrassment and shame. Each one is just a different cocktail. And when you start to realize that, you can pull apart, well, what are the ingredients that are playing a role right now? And it just makes it a lot easier to deal with how you're feeling.
Yeah, that's an interesting metaphor. I quite like that, actually.
Anger is a drink. What drink are you drinking right now? because it will F you up if you drink enough of it. And notice what happens when you start drinking one, then somebody comes out and says, you want to do shots? I notice that you've been feeling very guilty right now and you've been drinking guilt all night. Why don't we throw a little bit of frustration and embarrassment here? A couple of shots of those. We'll mix those in and see how the night goes.
Yeah. I mean, embarrassment always follows shots of any kind in my experience, but
Never been no good night has ever featured the phrase, hey, let's do shots.
Agreed. Pretty comprehensive answer to the first question. I think you covered the second question as well, which was what's that's going to change your approach in the new year. So what would you say, what are you most proud of in your business, your work from this year?
Walking away from it. I'm proud of the fact that I found something in my life that I'm good at, that I love to do, and that pays well, and that I have chosen to step away from it for a while. Because when you find something with those three factors, it's hard to do anything else. And the proudest thing in my career this year is being willing to say, I'd like to do something else, because I believe I have skills I could develop to almost the same level as my speaking. But I don't believe that the man I have to be a successful professional speaker, I don't believe that man can develop those skills while being a speaker. I think it calls for two different skill sets. And so, yeah, I'm proud of being willing to spend less time doing what I know I'm good at and more time making less money, seeing if there's other things I could be great at. Because I think I could be a better man, but I think I have to use different skills. And those skills are not consistent with the skills you need to be a great speaker. So I'm going to give those up for a little while. I don't think it's that gutsy, because I could always go back, right? It's not like I'm burning the boats, but yeah, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of changing.
Yeah, rightfully so. And I think it is and I say this in a genuine way, not in the ironic British normal meaning of the word, but it is genuinely a brave thing to do.
Thanks, man.
So I think, yeah, I mean, very mysterious as well, though. I want to ask, what are some of these things? What are some of the irons in the fire? But
I haven't figured it out yet, so thank you for not asking. As I said, I think I said last time, like every 10 years, I figure out a way to pay for the next 10. And me and my partner were a little nervous that we were at about 9 years, 2 months before I kind of went, hey, I got something. And then as soon as you say, hey, I got something, there's like, oh, we could also. And those were the first times I stayed awake for a few days, staying up late, getting excited about ideas.
That's cool.
Because the only ideas I were thinking about before were the ones I knew would make money. And those don't keep you up at excitement and nervousness. The ones that might make money do. And those are the ones that are keeping me awake. And I'm glad at the end of 2025, they're keeping me awake more with excitement than with fear.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good place to be in, definitely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll watch this space, I guess.
I hope so, my friend. I'm going to talk less. Talk less, smile more.
Fair enough.
Little Hamilton. I know that doesn't, the American Revolutionary musicals don't hit the same way for you Brits as they do for the Americans, but
yeah, I mean, I think you're okay because, I think the US is the second highest audience demographic, so it'll be fine.
We love you, US. All hail our whatever leader currently. I have been watching the news.
I think you've probably already answered what's your top advice for the new year. It's listen more, isn't it? But I mean, would you like to explore that further or give a different answer? Up to you.
My top advice for the new year is to sit down and ask yourself, what 3 assumptions in my life that if they weren't true would change everything? And then just intellectually explore, what if they're not true? Not to convince yourself, just do an intellectual exercise where you're just like, I will die with that person next to me, or we'll never break up, or whatever it is, whatever assumption you're just making all kinds of judgments on that impact your life. Pick 3 of them that if they were wrong, everything would change. And then just play it through in your head. And you'll only get through one before you realize how important it is to find as many as possible that might be untrue. So yeah, pick 3 sacred cows in your life that you are 100% certain you are right about. And then just for intellectual fun, pretend it's not true and run through what that would mean. And it's going to be uncomfortable, and hopefully it won't be true, but it will make you realize how easy it could be to be different than you think. And that'll change the way you make every assumption moving forward.
I like that. Yeah, that is cool.
Now I'm just trying to keep them short too, brother.
It feels topical for New Year, doesn't it? And that time of year where we talk about resolutions. And I know that was a question we talked about last year. And I wish I should have gone back and checked your answer so we could mark your homework, but I didn't.
That's actually would be really interesting. That would be soup. You know what, man? You should do this for 5 years and then go back.
Yeah.
And like just hit it all. Cause I remember I did something with a buddy on a podcast. We did 30 questions, 1 minute each. And it was 2020. And I was like, man, we should go back. And because now on YouTube, or I don't know how long this has been, reaction videos are the thing. You watch and you react. I'm like, we should watch our own advice from 5 years ago. So he's had twins now. He's moved to New York.
Wow.
Like I've met my partner, like a lot of things have happened since then. And I'm like, man, why are we watching a movie to react to it? We should listen to ourselves give crappy advice for 30 minutes and just, it will remind us how careful we should be about giving advice in the future.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Falling in love, having kids, changing jobs. Like your advice has got a shelf life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I like that 5-year idea because then I don't have to have the answer right now. But I do feel like as well, like I'm not usually one for that sort of, certainly not at a New Year point anyway, in resolution kind of style, but I don't know that I've ever really done one properly. So I couldn't look back and see if I succeeded. And maybe that's why I haven't done them. So I don't have to measure myself against myself. Yeah.
And what would be properly too? Like it's just,
yeah.
Yeah. But I guess it's just do it. And then we figure out what it means. Because until you do it, I don't know, man. I think I run through so many simulations of things that you forget that sometimes the best thing to do is like, instead of running 50 different scenarios, so you're ready for whichever one it is, just have enough trust that whichever one it is, you're going to be able to adapt to. You know why? Because you're capable of creating 50 scenarios in your head. So you're going to be able to come up with 50 different solutions to any of them just as fast. But we kind of stop ourselves until we've run through them all. We don't try one until we've run through every possible scenario. Just do it. Like, no.
Yeah.
Eyes closed, head first, can't lose.
I mean, apparently not everyone is like this. Like, not everyone does that sort of planning everything in their head and catastrophizing.
No idea.
So I'm told. But
how the heck do they do that? Like, well, what are you going to do if this happens? They're like, well, we'll adjust on the fly. I'm like, but you have thought about it, right? They're like, well, I thought that it could happen, but you didn't come up with 7 different scenarios, so they're ready for you? They're like, no, that would be exhausting.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, at one point, my girlfriend looked at me this year. It was a cool moment. And she goes, wait, your brain does that? Like, yeah. And she said, huh, you must be exhausted. And it was wild. It was the first time in my life I did not realize how badly I wanted someone to say that. To be like, oh my God, really? You must be really tired. And it was sort of like, oh my God, yeah, thank you for seeing that for half a second. I don't think I'm special, but I need you to know, like, if we had an hour-long conversation, you and I, these 2 podcast sessions we've just done, I will pick them apart for the next 7 to 8 hours to figure out when I talk too much, what I might have upset you, what I talked over you, how I could have done that better. And people say, oh, you guys make it all about yourself all the time. I'm like, I don't know how I could be a narcissist when 95% of my thoughts are about other people, specifically how I piss them off, but it's still about other people. And I just remember her looking at me and going, really? Like, yeah. And she's like, you must be exhausted. I'm like, oh, I kind of just assumed all of you were doing it too, and I was bad at it.
I don't know. I think, I mean, I see where the assumption comes from, but you look at the state of the world these days, I think if everyone did it, it would be globally in a lot better place.
Hey, I'll tell you this, everybody. You just reminded me of this. What I'm proud of this year, I said I was not going to watch the news or go on social media. And I would say 90% success. When the Toronto Blue Jays went to the World Series, I got drawn back into social media just so I could find out what was going on. But for the vast majority of the last year, I haven't watched the news. You know, I found out Charlie Kirk had been killed a month after it happened. Like that.
Wow.
Disconnected. And I got to tell you, happiest I've ever been. Happiest I've been in 15 years. I'm uninformed, but I'm not misinformed. And I wish sometimes I'm like, oh my God, those are important things I'm not aware are happening. But I'm ready when my people come and go, Drew, like saddle up, it's time. But I kind of am fine being Luke Skywalker on that island. Like until Rey shows up and gives me the lightsaber, I'm like, leave my ass alone. I'm going to try to be a positive force in people's lives. And I can't be when I am being systematically sold hate. And, the state of the world today is very simply, to me, we have a hate-based economy for the first time in history. We have monetized anger and hatred. And so I had to pull out of that economy. But you still have that in you, that part of you that sees people first, that sees. When you shut out the noise, you can hear stuff. Your brain and your heart are still saying things, but mine would not come out to play for 9 months. Like I stopped paying attention to the news, and it was 9 months before my actual thoughts, my actual brain started coming out and being like seriously, can we like kick ideas around now? Can we use our bandwidth? You're not mad at anyone right now? Like, no, it's cool. What were you thinking? And like, it kind of like my brain and my inner voice and like kind of came out from behind a wall. Like, seriously, we're good now. I'm like, yeah. I'm not going to throw ideas and thoughts into the closet because I got distracted by how mad I was. Especially if you have ADHD, anger focuses you. It focuses you. Nothing else does. And so sometimes rage is a defense mechanism. Because, I'm raging now, but I'm only raging and thinking about one thing, where usually I was trying to think about 9. And then you get overwhelmed. So anger became an escape mechanism. But when I removed anger, something else had to replace it. And creativity and, I don't want to say love, it's cheesy, but creativity and caring came back into my life in the gap that anger was. Because my brain wanted to focus again, and anger really did focus it. And when I wouldn't let myself have access to things to make me angry, it turned to things that made me feel creative and that made me feel cared about. And man, it took 9 months of numb before the voice in my head that weren't anger could be heard again. So you will not die without social media, everyone. You won't. Like, toss it for 2026. Just give it a shot. So I say on a podcast.
Which will be getting promoted on social media. Yeah.
Exactly.
I might even use that clip just for a laugh. Yeah,
Don't
I know.
watch
I know.
podcasts.
Except this one. I know where you're coming from, though. It is. Yeah, I haven't completely stopped watching the news, but I certainly won't seek it out anymore. It's just, I just got to that point where it's just always the same, like variations of the same thing, but with 1 or 2 different words in there somewhere, or someone different to blame this week, or whatever. It's just, and once you see through it, there's no point looking at it anyway.
And it stopped being politics and started being cruelty. Like, politics is a disagreement on policy.
Yeah.
Cruelty is something different.
Yeah.
And the people who dominate the news cycle are cruel people right now. And that's hard. So
Yeah.
we can't disengage because we got to be ready. But subjecting yourself to cruelty constantly changes who you are.
Yeah.
That's why I think we need to ask more questions of Santa.
Yes. Good throwback. I like it. Yeah. Well, on that note, I guess we better end. Otherwise, we'll be going for another hour complaining about social media.
Yeah, my man, I'm taking up a lot of your time, man. Hey, I'm
Yes.
done. You're it for the week, my man. You were my last
nice.
thing I had to, but the last organized thing. So for the rest of it,
that's cool.
It's I'm glad, man, because it's nice that you ask people to reflect, even in a fun way, at the end of the year. Because I look forward to talking to you, because it's sort of a symbol every year that it's time to start winding it down, and not just say, oh, I'm done for the year, but actually be like, okay, use that. You got a couple of weeks, like, turn the engine down and listen. Don't just start thinking about, okay, well, what are we going to do? Because resolutions are all about, okay, look ahead. I love the idea that it's like, no, before we make anything about the future, why don't we just not let the past slip away and take a minute to not be like, okay, what do I expect from myself next year? But instead to say, what should I give myself credit for this past year? There's a Winnie the Pooh cartoon someone sent me, where instead of listing what you haven't yet done, try making a list of what you've survived, and you'll realize you're a lot more successful than you give yourself credit for. And I'm like, man, that's kind of a dark way of looking at it, but it's also, it is justified in how powerful those words are. What did you survive in 2025? And if we ask, what did you accomplish? People think of what they wanted to do, and they think of the gap between what they wanted and what they did. But if you just say, what did you survive? No one goes to a list of stuff they expected to survive last year at this time. It always came up. You didn't know it was coming. And so at the end of the year, I don't think it's dark or dramatic to say, all right, what did I survive in 2025? And then realize that that is a list of accomplishments. Like, what did I survive?
Yeah.
Cool. You just made a list of accomplishments. Yeah, but what about all the other stuff I didn't do? Yeah, but this was more important. Because if you didn't survive, meh. So yeah, I think maybe I'll spend a little time the next couple of weeks sitting back and saying what I survived in 2025. And I think that'll get me excited about 2026, because it came after me again, the world. Nope. Still here. Little Elton John.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit dark, but it's also a little bit optimistic, isn't it? It's a nice balance of the two, like bittersweet almost. Yeah.
Yeah, look at it like a comic book. Comic books they're not bloody and gory. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of it, there's always like a word above your head, and you look all muscular in your leotard, and you're standing upon the conquered whatever. So yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, and the hero always wins as well, usually. Well, I mean, it depends on the comic, actually, now that I've said that.
Yeah, you know what, too? I was like, well, not comics, but once we get into graphic novels.
Yes,
then
that's what I meant to
becomes
say.
I'm like, oh, crap. I'm not cool enough to know the difference, but
no,
I know there is.
I think it's just thickness, isn't it? Like,
it's funny. Yeah, geeky became cool. Like, it really, really did. And like, weird is cool. And it's because every audience now can find its hero. And that's good and that's bad. But it means, like, however strange you think you are, there is some group somewhere who celebrates that strange. And if you think the earth is flat, there is a conference full of people who think it too. I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong. Well, I know that that's wrong, but it is a community. You know what I mean? And it is harder to be alone in terms of thinking no one else is like you than any time in human history. You're not alone. And that doesn't mean I love your crew, but you aren't on your own. And so just remember that, anyone listening, like, the people like you are out there.
Nice note to end on, I think, actually.
Yeah.
So Yeah, thanks again for being here for another lovely conversation, and
David, it's awesome.
enjoy your 2 weeks off or however long it ends up being, and all the best for the new year.
And David, thanks for always being so patient and listen, my friend. I think you're doing a great thing. I really look forward to, I don't know, hopefully being somewhere cozy this time next year and
Yeah.
skinnier.
Well, don't we all? Yeah.
All right, my friend. Take good care of yourself, eh?
You too. Thanks, Drew.
And thanks for everything. Peace.
Emma, happy nearly New Year. Welcome back again.
Happy nearly 2026.
Yeah. Well, big year this year, I think, for a lot of people. So, what was your biggest lesson learned in 2025?
I would say it is the tune into your gut, the really keep refining, paying attention to what your instincts tell you and how you feel before you make a decision and I guess always there was a secondary thing, which is like always to have a backup plan as well.
Yeah, a big fan of the plan B. Yeah, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's and C, D, and E as well.
Yeah, opciones.
Indeed. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of people over the years who've had this kind of quite firm belief that you shouldn't have a backup plan because then you're planning to fail. And I feel like, I don't know, I think modern businesses have moved beyond that kind of mindset now. And hopefully it's not thing like it was, but
yeah. I mean, all businesses need to have like those backup resiliency plans. You can't pass your ISO without it. So it's being prepared for if, something a little bit unexpected occurs. I think it's just sensible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think probably things like COVID and other political events have probably helped with that in terms of changing that mindset.
I agree, just anything can happen at any point, but yeah, definitely sort of trusting yourself and tuning into those instincts. That's a big one.
And so what prompted that lesson? What led you to that? Particularly about the gut instinct, because that's interesting.
Having ideas before you embark on something, if you've got a bit of so with a supplier, I had a videography supplier, and I could tell on the shoot that I thought, he's standing in odd places. He's not taking any cutaways. And I just knew that it was not going to be good enough. And so unfortunately, instead of saying things and doing things at the time, and instead I was just like, no, trying to battle with the gut instinct, and the end result is not usable, and he needs to start again from scratch, which then holds me up. So yeah, that was for quite a big project.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
I trusted the process, but I shouldn't have done, because I knew with the facts in front of me that it wasn't going to be up to scratch.
Yeah, I always it's possible to trust the process, but also still ask reasonable questions just to give yourself some comfort.
Quite.
Yeah. But it's a very British way of approaching that situation, isn't it? Like, we're just like, no, mustn't say anything, don't want to be rude.
Yeah. This lack of assertion through wanting to be polite and just assuming that, I'll be a nuisance, or I'll be wrong, or, I'll offend someone. Yeah, that side is difficult to get over.
Yeah. I mean, from a leadership perspective as well, there's a whole thing about like trusting your people to do the work, and like trusting in their expertise there as well.
Yeah,
which is something that a lot of people really struggle with. I mean, I certainly did when I was doing it for the first time.
Definitely, I'm the same, yeah.
But then this story goes against that logic. No, you shouldn't have trusted them.
Exactly, and this is what I thought. I thought, he's been recommended to me by someone who's top drawer. I should just let him get on with it. Maybe all the magic will be in the editing. I was just giving the benefit of the doubt. And really, would it have really hurt anybody if I had said, oh, are you not going to film any cutaways? Or, oh, are you sure that angle will work? Or I could have asked him more questions about what he planned to do with the edits. But anyway, yes, lesson learned.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I can't remember who said it originally. It was some big US politician, wasn't it, back in Cold War era, but trust but verify. That whole sticks. Was it? Wasn't Nixon? Was it? Was it like Kissinger or someone like that? I can't remember. Probably not important.
I don't know, but it makes perfect sense. Yeah, trust but verify. Yes.
Maybe it was Reagan. That's going to really bug me. I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, let's check. We need our verifier.
Trust but verify. Ignore the AI response because it's usually wrong.
Oh no, don't.
It was Reagan. There we go.
Wait, there we go. See, we thought it sounded like him. It's the AI response is usually wrong, is it? Why are they doing it? What was that? It's Gemini.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but okay, this time it was right. Okay, fine. But I found it weirdly, like if I know the answer to something and I'm Googling it for some other reason, I notice quite a lot of the answers are wrong, or they're just not complete or not quite presented the right way. But anyway, yes, let's not start grumbling about AI. We'll be here for an hour doing
we'd be
that.
here on a whole other podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. That lesson then from this year, how are you going to take that forward into 2026? What's going to be different in your approach?
So hopefully I will continue to get better at being more direct and continue to be okay with listening to my gut and trusting my own instincts. And instead give myself benefit of the doubt instead of other people. It probably wouldn't hurt too much if I, what do I got to lose by being direct? So yeah,
it's true. Again, like there's a parallel to leadership here, but just generally in life, I find there's a false correlation between directness and rudeness. And I think you can ask a direct question perfectly politely with kindness. Even it doesn't have to be like the brutal honesty approach that so many people seem to slip into. And I think that's why for people like us, the directness has that sort of distasteful feel sometimes, because that's how we're used to it being.
Yeah, quite. I just think I'm going to offend somebody, and actually no, it ends up worse for everybody at the outcome if you're not communicating effectively. Yeah,
absolutely.
And when you think about it, the times that you have been brave and said exactly what you thought and what you meant, has it ever turned sour? No, it's always led to a better outcome and you feeling more empowered. So yeah, no, you're right. The leadership side of things, we need to do it. Oh, come on. Can you think of an occasion which is the opposite?
I can, actually, yeah. But that was a very specific circumstance and there are many other factors playing into that. But yeah, ultimately, though, you're right. It did lead to the better outcome, for me, at least. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on from that. No one wants to hear that story again. Slightly opposite question, I guess, really. What are you most proud of from your business this year?
So I'm really proud that I've grown the business this year, and it's actually just past my 10th anniversary for Empower. I've been running it for 10 years and doing all of this, helping people find leads for 10 years. And this year grew the business and now have 3 freelancers working with me, which I didn't have this time last year. Just delivering, delivering the reassurance and the joy to the customers. It's just, it's been a really good year for results and the kind of doors that I've opened for my clients as well. So yeah, just grateful for having a bit of a steadier footing after a much more difficult year the previous year. So I really got back on top.
Oh, good. Pleased to hear that. Yeah, and congratulations on 10 years. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really should do a post about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. You should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to tell everybody. But yeah,
Yeah.
who knew 10 years ago that what I'd be sitting doing today, and that I'd
Yeah.
be in a different country. It's all
Yeah.
bizarre. And
It
the
does,
landscape has changed so much because it was a telemarketing business predominantly when I started. So
yeah. Interesting. I mean, that's still sort of a thing, isn't it?
yeah, for sure. If it's just better with slightly warmer contacts, I would say. Yeah.
Yes. As speaking as someone who has found their way accidentally onto a lot of lead lists, I can confirm that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We tend to get our cold approaches through other means now, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. That's certainly as a customer how I prefer it. So, but
Yeah.
then I'm difficult. So.
Yeah. No, not at all. Everybody's got their own preferred way of being marketed to. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Not at all. No, I'm joking, obviously. Yeah. Although annoyingly, like the things I would love to be marketed to for are never the things that I get calls about or DMs or anything.
No.
It's usually things I already have or don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm afraid so.
And I don't know about you, but like, do you look back over those 10 years? So for me, it's like 6 years now, I think. Yeah, 6 last month. I sort of regret not doing more social posts, or at least like taking more photos or keeping more sort of cool bits of things about what I was doing, what I was working on, and what was going on at the time. Because now I look back and it's only in my memory, sort of thing.
Oh, I see.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Difficult without the records, yeah. Whereas I used to post on socials all the time back then, and now I barely do it at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I did a bit. I used to post something at least once a week for the first few years, but it never had my face in it. It was always just like stock footage or an image of something.
yeah, but that was more the trend back then as well, But you know when you start to look back through all of the scenarios of what you were doing and for who, and you'd probably be really surprised and shocked by how far you've come as well.
Yeah, I mean, I never would have expected myself to be into podcasting this heavily.
There you go. Yeah. Now you're an absolute pro on it. Yeah.
Or that it would be the thing that takes up the majority of my time.
As you say, you really enjoy it.
This is it. Do what you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my top advice for next year, actually. Do what
Is
you enjoy.
it?
I think so.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I put down?
Yeah. What's yours?
Oh, no one cares as much as you do, and that's okay. Just make sure you keep caring. I don't know where it came from, but that's what I thought.
No, that's really good advice. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of his, but that reminds me of one of Gary Vee's big things, doesn't it? Like a couple of years back, like no one in your business is going to care about it as much as you do. So stop expecting that. Yeah, it is good advice, but I think your caveat of keep doing it is important as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's important to have your pride and respect and want the best, it's motivating.
Yeah. But also like just because nobody cares about it doesn't mean you shouldn't. And actually often it means that's very much why you should. Like
yeah, true. Yeah, as the leader. But also, it doesn't mean that they don't care. They just don't care as much. It's just, well, things that are close to our hearts, that are our, I don't know, innovations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think definitely good advice though. How do you feel about New Year's resolutions?
Personally, not that much of a fan of them, because I feel like if you want to change something, you can set your own goal. It doesn't need to be at the new year. However, there is something about our energy as a planet and with our cycles and our seasons and everything. There is something that feels good about doing it at the outset of a new year, in which case maybe you're more likely to go into it with more gusto. I don't know. So yeah, I don't personally set them. However, a I believe this can be helpful for a lot of people.
Okay. So I've keep swinging back and forth on them personally. Like, I used to think they were completely pointless, but this year I'm being persuaded otherwise. I don't know. Like, I think where I'm landing at the moment is, as a concept, I'm okay with them. But I think that in practice and culturally, they've become this thing that it's almost synonymous with failing goals, isn't it? Like, nobody ever achieves a New Year's resolution, so what was the point of doing it? Right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends, doesn't it? It depends what it is, but...
Gym memberships being the classic example that I hear all the time.
Absolute classic. But yeah, peak time for being a PT and getting people signed up for classes. So just, work all the hours you can in January, because you might not get anyone wanting anything in the summer.
Yeah, but then also, like, if I never would, I'm glad I don't. But if I worked in that industry, I'd be a bit concerned about that, because you have a good month in January every year. And then what are you doing for the rest of the year? Like, how are your customers achieving the success you've promised?
You'd have to branch out into doing other things. You'd have to go and give nutritional advice, or I don't know.
Yeah. So I think goal setting as a whole is excellent, as long as you do it effectively. Yes. And I think it's that effective bit, and that's when New Year's resolutions go off the rails, because it's not effective. It's often not achievable, and there's usually no plan behind it to actually make it last for the year. So with that in mind, if you were to have a leadership-themed New Year's resolution this year, what do you think it would be?
Well, this is very much connected to the other bits and pieces we've been talking about. Say it as you feel it. That would be mine.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, it's okay to share how you really feel about something. Yeah.
More than okay.
Feel like,
necessary.
Yeah. Yes. Be clear and open and calm and direct. And definitely, if we're thinking about leaders in our country right now, they could do better by being just chuck this in there. They could really be doing much better by taking some firmer and upfront leadership, and just the reason that the challengers are doing so well is because they do have a much more direct approach. So at least we all know the score.
I mean, depending on which challenger you're talking about and how we define direct, like...
Well, Zach Polanski and Nigel Farage are doing very well, and they both have a very direct, open, frank style, regardless of which side you fall closer to.
Okay. Yeah, I won't get into the taking sides, but I would caveat that by saying that one of them is being cynically misleading and dishonest, and the other one is pushing hope. Isn't. Oh dear, I gave the answer away. Whoops.
Yeah. But no, you are quite right. But that's a great shame, and I'm definitely never going to advocate lying. So yeah, no, you're right. It's good to talk about that, but I just mean, being more frank and
as a communication style. Yeah, I think I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say they're both definitely direct.
Yeah.
I think they're probably both saying what they're thinking as well, more or less.
Exactly. They're being much more like authentically them, which is something that's just so lacking with the other politicians.
Yeah, I mean, I did, funnily enough, just this morning, I was watching a video about, it was... what's his name? Do you know Nish Kumar? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so his podcast, and they were talking about Mr. Farage, but they're also talking about the PM, who apparently has just started a TikTok account.
I've heard this, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen the first...
they weren't very kind to him, but I'm now going to go and investigate that, because I feel like that's something I need to watch.
Yeah. I think perhaps he hasn't been given the expert advice on how to create the best TikTok. But hey, at least he started. And if he does want to try and communicate with another section of society, then why not? Let's see.
I mean, as we were saying, I think anything where there's a bit more transparency and it's got to be a good thing, hasn't it? It's just whether it's how heavily it is curated and whether it's interesting at all.
Yeah. Is any of our social activity, fully? We're not. We're not talking about. Oh my God! I've just missed the postman. I've just dropped my breakfast on the floor. We're not sharing those things, are we? Not most of us, anyway.
I don't know. I'd quite like to see the PM spill his breakfast down his front or something. I think that would humanise him a bit, don't you think?
You're right. This is why content that's not polished at all, that's just people talking from bed, does so well, because there is just this appetite for raw, real engagement.
I find that sort of thing more effort, though. Don't know.
Well, agreed. I'm definitely on the shiny, well-produced side of things. Yeah, it's just my style. I wish I could just be talking from bed with mascara halfway down my face. Hey ho.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Maybe we'll get there one day. I don't know. It's
maybe.
There's nowhere to hide in those. That's probably why they're so popular, isn't it? But you've got to have enough to say.
Yeah. People just love buying into the real, which is
as they should. Well, that feels like a good point to end our little conversation about New Year's resolutions and such, doesn't it?
Lovely.
We went a bit off track there, but it's okay. I think it was interesting.
Sorry, yeah.
No, it was my fault. Yeah.
It was good fun.
Yeah, we broke my no politics rule, but it's fine because it's the last episode of the year, so it's fine. We'll make an exception.
Whoops,
the one time a year
sorry.
we make an exception.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Emma, thank you for coming back again.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, David. It's been an absolute pleasure, and likewise. I wish you all the success for all the joys of leadership in business next year.
Well, thank you very much, and very best wishes for you as well for the new year. And I hope you have a nice New Year's Eve as well, whatever you end up doing.
Thank you. Yes, hopefully sitting at home, eating anchovies and drinking some lovely cava. Yeah, there we go. Nice quiet one. That's what
each to their own. Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy yours as well.
Yeah, I'll probably be asleep by 9:30 if I'm honest. So yeah.
Yeah, don't blame you.
Gary, welcome back and happy almost New Year. It's New Year's Eve when this is released, so we're nearly there.
Nearly there. Well, happy December. I'm glad that it's at that beginning, though, because I'm looking forward to all the parties and celebrations that are going to happen this month.
Absolutely. Right. So what's your biggest lesson from 2025?
Oh, well, I think both the biggest lesson and also the funniest is that, we really limit ourselves in terms of the way that we think just by the social spheres that we have. So I'll give you an example. As part of my security mentalism stuff, I get to meet a whole ton of people. And at this particular event, I guess a couple of weeks ago, I met a number of people who are in a completely different social sphere than me. And you'll, I think, get the gist when I give you a couple of examples. The first guy, we were in New York, and the first guy that I met, I said, "Hey, do you come to New York frequently?" And he answers me, "Oh, I'm not pretty rarely. I don't come much at all." And I said, "Oh, well, when was the last time you were here in New York?" And he said, "Last month." And I was like, "Oh, when's the next time you'll be coming?" And he said, "Oh, my wife and I will be coming next month." And so at this point, I thought, oh, well, I probably misheard him. And I said, "Well, why is it that you come so frequently? What will you and your wife be doing next month?" To which he promptly corrected me. And he said, "Gary, I don't come frequently. But next month, and he lives in Europe somewhere. Next month, my wife and I will come to New York because she likes doing her Christmas shopping here because there's just more stuff here. And if it makes her happy, that's fine. We'll just come. So a completely different definition of what I think you and I, or at least me, think frequent means.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it must be nice to have the ability to travel that frequently, that distance.
Yeah, it is. And I'll give you another example. A second guy that I met, I opened all pretty similar question. I said, so where'd you fly in from? And he said, oh, I came in from my home in Florida. And I was like, oh, okay. And then like 10 minutes later, I said, oh, well, when are you going to go back home to Florida? And he looked at me like I had two heads. And I was trying to figure out what it is that I said it was wrong. And he goes, I won't be going home for a while. Now, I won't be going home to Florida for a while. And I said, oh, well, where are you going next? And he goes, to my home in Puerto Rico. and so I said, because it was, around Thanksgiving time or so. So I said, hey, so do you enjoy Puerto Rico during the holiday season? Is that why you're there? And he goes, Gary, December is way nicer in California. I'll be at my house in California in December. So I'm like, okay, I need to stop making assumptions with the questions that I ask. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm networking in the wrong places by the sounds of it. All these people you're meeting, they're clearly in the 1% or something. Like,
yeah. No, I got invited to this party. Like, these people are clearly got a different asset level.
That's fair.
So
yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's there's that the point there about assumptions. I think is really valuable. I think we probably all need that in our New Year's resolutions every year, don't we? And I'm sure we all fall short every year as well, because that's the nature of a resolution, right? But I think there's something to be learned there, definitely.
Yep. Yeah. Got to ask those open-ended questions.
Yeah.
I asked this third guy, because he said something, he made some comment about needing to make sure that he was in some other place like Tokyo or whatever the next day. And I said, hey, so are you worried about like the whatever strikes, or I don't remember what I said, but something along the lines of people not working or something. And he goes, Gary, I have a private jet. And in the worst case, I would just get a business class ticket. I mean, there are plenty of those. It's not that bad once in a while. So I was like, oh, okay. Got it.
Wow.
Yes. So assumptions is definitely something that got to work on periodically.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, when you started that answer about like the circles you move in and where you network, and I was thinking like just the value of networking full stop. To me, I mean, that's one of my biggest lessons, not necessarily this year, but certainly since I stopped working for other people and started working for myself, because it was something that as an employee, I wasn't really interested in. And thankfully, nobody ever tried to make me do it either, because that would have probably ended badly for both of us. But how, like that, maybe it was the COVID years as well, that sort of isolation and loneliness period as well. But now it's one of the things I value most in my business is that ability to go out and talk to people or do it online like this. And podcasting for me has become a sort of informal networking thing too. And yeah, I really enjoy it now. It's weird that, isn't it? Like the way you change your perspective on things.
I think so. I certainly was the guy standing in the corner, when I first started. You go to a networking event, oh, terrible. But now it's actually pretty fun. And I actually think it's pretty interesting when I go to like networking events and all that. The people who move around the most are actually the more senior people. And the people who don't are the more junior people. And then, of course, the really junior people just never show up. So it's pretty interesting if you I think that it actually they go hand in hand. It's very hard to be a senior leader in an organization. Yeah, whether it's a large organization or small, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're the leader, you have to get out, and you have to enjoy it. And I think you and I were talking a little briefly right before this that we got to do things that we enjoy, right? And I think that those kind of go together, to be a leader and to get out of it.
Absolutely. And I have to say, you've hit on one of the reasons why I much prefer online networking to in person. Because online, there's no corner for you to stand in. Like you're in front of you can't. There's nowhere to hide. Like unless you just turn your camera off, and then why are you even there in the first place at that point? Like so, yeah.
Well, if it's 1-to-1, that's true. But if it's Hollywood Squares where you've got 100 people online, then you could hide.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, so I tend not to go to those big ones. I went to a few years back. There's an organisation in the UK called the Federation of Small Business, I think it is. I think that's what the F stands for. Anyway, it's one of the biggest lobbying groups in the UK as well, weirdly, or at least for business things. And they do free networking events, which sounds great. It is great in a way. But the downside is because it's free, there's so many people go to the like you're literally just one tiny little tile. Even if you've got the window full screen, you're this tiny little thing of like hundreds of people. And yeah, you're right. It is easy to hide in those. No one will notice if you turn your camera off.
Yeah.
So I don't go
but
to
then,
those
like
anymore.
You said, why would you even bother going if you did?
Yeah. So I don't. I go to much more select groups now, and it's the same group of people every time as well, every month, and it's just nicer. You build up more of a relationship. It feels more supportive, more engaging, and plus, if you turn your camera off, everyone will notice. And yeah, I do it occasionally if I have to sneeze or something because no one wants to watch me do that. But otherwise, yeah, it's engagement is the right word. I think you want to feel like you're actually in a room, but not. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, lots of opportunities. Got to pick how you spend your time.
Definitely. I think that one definitely gives you a lot of bang for your buck, though. Like you don't have the travel time. You've got and it's quite easy to do. All you got to do is just show up and be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To a point.
Yeah. That's true.
Awesome. All right. So, I mean, that lesson then, just quickly, like what's that going to change about how you approach it next year?
I don't know how much I would necessarily change, because I think I've gone a pretty long time without having those problems. So, I would just say being more cognizant sometimes, making sure that I really start with more open-ended questions. Although, of course, if you start with way too open-ended, then sometimes it does go a little too far. So I don't know. I haven't really figured out exactly how to encapsulate that into a lesson learned yet. I just know that I ran into this problem and it had some pretty funny outcomes, which really doesn't matter in the end if I get those wrong. But I just thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair. Identifying the learning is the first step, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, maybe by end of January, you'll have the lesson there and what to do next.
Yeah, then I'll let you know once I figure it out.
Cool. Yeah, keep us up to date. All right. So, looking back again to this year, what would you say you're most proud of in something you've done or this year?
Sure. Well, I think helping my team analyze complex situations to figure out kind of what would happen. I like drawing out these decision trees to explain like, hey, if we do this, then so-and-so might do such and such, which might lead to this outcome. Because whenever you work in corporate and actually any place that you've got like more than like two people, it becomes actually surprisingly pretty complex because everybody's got their own like interests. Everyone wants to do their whatever thing that they're trying to get at, and you're not really aligned. So working through kind of what might happen and then just being really like and just analyzing it with as little bias as possible, I think is something that I excel at and that I really try to help the people that I work with sort of see when we're trying to solve the same problem. Because otherwise, people normally just are like, "Oh, what's the most straightforward solution? Let's just do that." And then it's like, no. But if you do that, then like this other guy's going to do this, and it's not like they dislike you, or it's not like they're trying to like screw you. It's just that's just how they're going to react, and then that's going to cause this other thing to happen. So.
I mean, it's a cliche, isn't it, about things being as much a science as they are an art. But I feel like things like that, that's where that kind of cliche comes true, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm biased.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. And I guess for your listeners, one thing that, I don't, I don't know why it's surprising necessarily to folks sometimes, but like when you say it out loud, they're like, "Oh wow, I didn't think about that." But it's like totally true. Like when people hire consultants, especially, there are a lot of times they're not actually trying to solve the problem that they've told you that they're trying to solve. They're trying to solve some other problem. Like they're like what they already know the answer oftentimes, and they're just looking for a scapegoat. Somebody to help push whatever it is. Maybe they just have a staffing issue, or maybe they themselves want a promotion, and they're hoping that you're going to do something along the way that's going to help them get promoted. There are all these like hidden agendas that they're never going to come out and be like, "Hey, David, I want to hire you as a consultant to solve this problem, but really I want to solve this other problem." But if you understand that, and then you get this little wink, wink, nod, nod thing, then hey, it goes really well, and then they'll hire you back the next time they need something because they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy figured it out. They know what I want without me actually having to say it."
Yeah, I don't know what the opposite of a scapegoat is, but there's that other route, isn't there, where they think they know the answer, or they've already made the decision. They just want like the evidence to back it up to kind of prove their point. I don't know. It's always felt a bit like if you've already made your mind up, why are you wasting money getting someone else to tell you what the decision should be again? Like just back yourself and save the money, spend it on something else, spend it on implementing your decision.
Yeah. But it's always better to have that third party to come in and say it, tell your
someone
boss.
To blame. Yeah, if it goes wrong, you're right.
or to blame. You can look at it either way.
Yeah, I can be quite cynical about these things. I admit it.
Yeah. Well, it's particularly helpful for like auditors, right? Like, because then you can be like, "Oh yeah, but this external guy told me this," versus like, "Oh, I told myself this." Then so it serves a purpose,
Yeah. I guess I sort of see how it works in bigger companies, but I'm very small business mentality, me, so it doesn't make sense to me very much. Okay, so let's look forward again. What's your top advice for 2026?
Oh, that's simple. It's always the same. I just say have fun. And if you have fun, people know that you're having fun. You exude that, the way that you engage with people, it all just comes together naturally. You don't have to work at it. And then people will involve you. They'll want you there. They'll work with you. They're going to give you a greater benefit of the doubt. It just makes it so much easier, right? So if you're just a good person, I say fun, but really all I mean is just like someone who's engaging, somebody who will work together, be a team player, those types of things. That's all I mean. So as long as you're able to enjoy yourself, everything else just follows. So that's my only advice. And if you really hate it and you roll out of bed and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is not fun," I know that everyone's got to pay their bills and stuff, but start looking for another job, one that you can have fun, because it's such an easy job when you're having fun.
Yeah, great advice. Massive supporter of that view as well. I think the amount of time we all spend in our lives at work, it's like a third of our lives if we're working normal hours, which most people don't. It's too much time to spend out of your life if you don't enjoy it.
Yeah,
you got to
completely agree. And you meet and you meet the different types of people too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
people that you're going to want to.
Yeah. And, okay, a job is a job. I get that. And it's not always going to be fun. And you do just have to pay the bills sometimes. But that doesn't mean you can't find a workplace where fun is allowed. Like the work itself can still be boring and depressing, but as long as you can have fun around it, that's second best thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different levels, right? So what
Yeah.
can you find and keep working your way up, and you'll get paid. Find something that you like, you get paid.
We'll call that one the silver standard. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, when we have our private jet, that'll be the gold.
I'll look forward to that.
Yep.
Potentially controversial question for you. How do you feel about New Year's resolutions as a concept? Like, are you for or against?
I don't like that. It's not that I dislike it. I'll just explain. Like, if there's something that I think that I should do, I should just do it now. So, I feel like if I have the New Year's thing, then I'm waiting until the next January before I even start. And then if I break it, I don't start again. So like a really good example that I think everybody does is like they promise that they're going to do the more exercise for the year. And then they start on January 1st. They go get their gym membership. They use it for a month and then they stop, but they paid the whole year. That's the normal gist. Well, I know that I have like so much historical data about me just stopping that whenever I travel or whenever I do this, because you just can't. I mean, you just can't really fit it in. And so I know that I'll break it. So if I do that, like by the end of January, I would have already stopped. So my resolution will be, okay, I'm going to do this. And then like at some point I do stop because maybe I got sick or whatever, may not even have been my fault. And then like, if I got to wait until January, like that's a lot of months. So I just try to do it when I think that there's something I should do, and then I should just do it.
I agree. I think like if it's worthwhile and you want to be doing it, like you don't need to wait for a New Year's resolution to do it. I'm on board with the idea of goal setting and things like that. I just don't think once a year is sufficient for that either.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the exercise one. I've never in my life had a gym membership, but I have gone through periods of like, right, I'm going to exercise this year. And you're right, the sickness one is what always gets me. It's like, I've caught a cold, I'll take a day off. And then it becomes 2, then 3, then a week. Then you maybe go back to it half-heartedly. And then next time, instead of a cold or a headache, it will be, well, I only got 7.5 hours sleep last night, so I don't really feel up to it today. I'll give it a miss. And then before you know it, you've stopped and 6 months have passed.
Yeah. It's amazing. But then then there's some of those people who like, they can't go a day without it because they love it. They enjoy it. And that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's back to what we were saying earlier about having fun, and that's what drives it. Yeah. It's a tough one, that. I get why so many people struggle. All right. So if you were going to have a leadership themed New Year's resolution for this year, what would it be? And I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not going to like check up on you next year or anything. But hypothetically, what would it be?
Well, I told you that I was going to have to figure out what lesson learned that I have. So I guess my New Year's resolution will be to figure out what that is and then tell you what it is. So,
I mean, that one seems pretty easy to do, actually. So you might be onto a winner there.
Perhaps. Yeah, it's easy to set a date to have a date, right?
Yeah.
My favorite is when you have a meeting to have a meeting to talk about having a meeting to,
Yeah. The pre-meeting. Yeah. Yeah. I've worked in places where those were routine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of cheated a little bit on my answer to you, but I don't have a good one. So that is, I will just implement things as they come along.
That's fair enough. And it was slightly a trick question, if I'm honest. So I'll let you off.
Well, what's yours? I didn't ask you what yours is.
Well, I don't believe in them, so I never have one, and that gets me out of it. You see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get to ask. You get to ask the questions, but you don't actually answer them yourself.
Yeah. Which is another reason why it's a trick question. But at least I'm honest about that, right? Like,
cheater. A cheater.
Yeah, I know. I think if I was going to have a New Year's resolution, it wouldn't be a leadership one for me. It would be a business themed one, and it would be about being more like consistent in setting more regular goals and then actually measuring performance against them instead of just kind of bumbling my way through things all the time, which has worked so far, but then it's also not achieved me amazing success either. So, it's, it is difficult when you're a business of one though. Not making excuses for myself, but that is an excuse.
No, it makes total sense. Cause you got to be super motivated. Just even doing it and doing it yourself, it takes a ton of self-motivation because you could just simply not roll out of bed.
Yeah, and
Yeah, there's
maybe
nobody
once a
kicking your
month.
ass.
Yeah, maybe once a month that does happen, but I'm okay with it. Like,
Yeah, no, it's good. It's great to have that flexibility. That's a lot of fun. So,
indeed.
I'm glad you get to pick your clients too. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, I do get to pick my clients, yes, but at the same time, there will be periods where I don't really, because it's any client is needed to meet the bills that month or whatever. So, yeah, it goes both ways, as you say.
Yeah, build that muscle, force you to learn a little bit. I always say that, or I shouldn't say I always say, I don't say it that much, but I do think that learning to work with people that you wouldn't normally work with, whether it's in a different social sphere or different work industry or whatever, it really forces you to be a better human, because those people see the world so completely differently than you do, and they're not and they're not wrong. It's just different. And as long as you can accept that, and then you have to figure out how to work with that, you become so much more flexible. And I think learning to lead, all the things that you're talking about and all that, I think it just makes you a better human. Your personal relationships, with just anybody, whether it's friends, family, whatever, it just makes it better. I think that being a manager actually helps me get along better with my family than like any other sort of skill or any other thing that I've done in my career. All the technical computer stuff, that doesn't help me be a better human. It helps me be better at that task, at that technical task. But learning to be a better human is all about leadership.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. So for me, I've actually found podcasting has made me a better leader and potentially like a better person, probably a better friend and family member, because it's got me out of the mindset of transmitting all the time. It's helped me be better at listening and understanding people. It's also taught me to ask better questions. I mean, I was okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's all leadership.
Exactly. And they're all relevant skills. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's yeah. And again, like being a business of one, it's my only time I get to practice those skills, really.
Well, you do also
client
with
work.
your clients, because you have to ask them what they want.
True, yeah. But it's more limited circumstance there, I find. And you can't just take it any direction you fancy like you can in a podcast conversation.
That's true.
So
That's
it's
true.
not the
Because they are
same. Yeah.
paying you for your time, so you can't completely waste it.
Yeah, and they're expecting me to have expertise or something as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a side thing. Again, you just tell them what they want to hear, right? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, if only it were that easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Consulting's actually super hard if you want to do it well.
Yeah, which is why I don't really do it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Gary, look, I'm conscious of the time. I said we'd take about half an hour, so I don't want to be greedy, but I've run out of questions anyway. So thank you so much for coming back and for another conversation. I've enjoyed myself again. And yeah, I mean, Happy New Year. All the best for 2026.
Yeah, you as well. It's a great being here. Good to see you again, David. Always a pleasure.
Kelly, welcome back again. Happy almost New Year. It'll be New Year's Eve this one comes out. So yeah. So you've gone from never being on the podcast at all to being on it twice in 2 weeks. It's not bad, is it? There we go.
Absolutely. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were talking in the Christmas special just now, earlier, last week, one of those, about, you mentioned a bit about your year and how you've felt like you've been moving forward in increments. It's been one of your best years yet. And that kind of leads us into the first question for this one as well, which is, what's been your biggest lesson learned in 2025?
To let go and not put a stranglehold on so many things. I was talking to Kearney this morning and I was saying, I probably was at a point where I was spending a good hour at least a day just checking on things, making sure people had done what they needed to do or things were working the right way, and not necessarily for things that I control. So just micromanaging. I could have had a day off a week for the time that I was spending doing that. So I think for me, coming into December and into next year is just trust the process, trust the system, trust that you've got the right people on board. And until something goes wrong, let it happen. I mean, you know, there's always a room for checking in, but not on a daily basis. No, don't need to do that.
Would you consider yourself a bit of a control freak, or is that out of character?
Yeah, definitely. Massively. And I think that's, I think as a role as a mum, a wife, a daughter, the kind of linchpin that holds a lot of relationships together personally as well as in business, I think I do that both in personal life and business life. And that's not always a good thing, you know, for me and the other parties included. So I think it's just allowing people a bit of space just to get on with things without breathing over their neck. Somebody told me I sounded like their teacher this morning. All in good jest. But even still, I was like, I don't think that's a good thing. Maybe I need to think about that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on how well they liked their teacher, doesn't it? Like...
I did ask that question. I haven't had a response yet.
Uh-oh. That's awkward. Yeah.
No, but I mean, that was done in jest. But I think when you, and this is something I very much see, when you are really good friends with the people you work with, as well as working with them, it's finding those boundaries and those lines, and they do blur. Of course they do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question. It's one I sort of swing back and forth on it, on which side of the fence I'm on, about like, can you be friends with the people you lead? Because when I've been in a leadership position, I've always said yes. And that's just the way I've chosen to do it. But I can also see, like, it depends on the friendship a little bit. It depends on the other person as well. Because every now and then you will get someone who will try and take advantage of that. Yeah. And then suddenly something's gone wrong and there's nothing you can really do about it as a leader except fix it yourself, because this other person has left you in the lurch. And I mean, to me, turns out if that happens, they weren't really that good of a friend anyway, because who does that to someone they're friends with? But
definitely. Yeah.
But there's a difference, I think, as well, in how the followers might view that relationship versus the leader too. And it's quite easy to deceive yourself. Like the example that always sticks in my head is like, if you're the leader or the manager, you tell a joke, everyone in your team laughs at it. Did they laugh because the joke was funny, or because they see you as their boss? And can you ever actually know the answer to that? And that, I lose sleep over that sometimes.
That is such a good point. I'm going to be thinking about that for a long time now, David. Thank you.
Sorry.
I think there's also a difference between being friends with someone before you bring them into your business, but then becoming friends with somebody that came in from a business perspective. There's two different dynamics there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. The former, I'm not sure I would do that. That feels like quite an easy way to lose a friend.
It could be, definitely. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And the micromanagement as well. So I was just been talking about this a couple of weeks ago, actually, because I've always seen micromanagement in any form as a bad thing and you shouldn't do it and it's bad leadership. But actually, there are times that it is appropriate and necessary even.
Okay.
So like with a new starter, first timer in your business, like they've got to learn how things work in your environment for a little while. And that does mean sometimes got to stand over their shoulder for a while. Likewise, if it's their first job out of school or university or whatever. So there are situations where it's kind of okay. And I think it's a sliding scale as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think also, if you're a perfectionist, you're going to do it, aren't you? Right? It's what's natural to you. But I think what I have also learned this year is, if you are going to micromanage and you spot a mistake, how do you deal with that? Because you are micromanaging, you are sort of peering over somebody's shoulder, and then you've got to announce the fact that you've spotted this thing, and B, then tackle how do we deal with that. So that's been really interesting for me as well. And I think we're humans, we make mistakes. Like, I'm never going to be angry with somebody for making it, never, ever, ever, because I make mistakes all the time. But it's about how do you move that forward and keep that relationship really intact.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? It's remembering the humanity and seeing people as what they are, which is
Yeah.
people. We're
Yeah.
all fallible. There's
Yeah.
no perfect leader. That whole cliche about people in glass houses, right? It's,
True.
at the same time, I think sometimes it's okay to be a little bit angry and frustrated at the situation, if nothing else. And every now and then there will be a mistake that's the result of carelessness or whatever. And that it's okay that the emotions will happen there. But again, as you say, it's about what you do with them and how you deal with that situation and how you discuss it with the individual.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Yeah.
And then the last point I want to cover on the micromanagement, which you mentioned it already, really. We always talk about micromanagement from the perspective of the person being led or managed and how it's a really bad thing and negative and horrible for them. And yes, that's all true. But I think what people forget when they're doing it is it's pretty bad for the person doing it as well. Because the amount of attention, time, concentration, focus, all of these things it's sapping away from you that you could be spending on other things.
Yes.
You're creating more stress for yourself by doing it.
You are. As you were talking there's a thing about time, space and grace. That's my thing at the moment. Time, space and grace. Like, give people time, give them the space and give them the grace. Like, it's a bit like if you're always there on top of them, answering the questions as soon as the phone rings, as soon as the message, the amount of times where I will jump and I'll drop everything for anybody else, okay? And then there's the occasion where you can't, so you'll miss the call, you'll miss the message, and then you'll get another message going, oh, it's all right, I found the answer now. And that's a lesson in itself, isn't it? Like, just give people a bit of time, give them a bit of space, and they come up with that answer themselves. So I think it's learning that dynamic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So the next question is then, from that biggest lesson, how is that going to change your approach in 2026?
It's going to lead to me having more free time. It really will.
Yeah.
Like, I'm determined that I don't practice those bad habits anymore. So, like, if something goes wrong, you're going to find out about it, right? You don't need to be there looking for it. It's going to come to your attention. So, having that time back, focusing on the good and not always looking for the bad. When you lead a lot of people, there is sometimes, there is a tendency to spend all of your time in your headspace in the negative bits that are happening. So what's not working, what's going wrong. And then you forget all of these wonderful things that are happening over here and the people that are heading those. And you spend no time over there cheerleading and championing and moving it even further forward. So I think for me next year, it's not about focusing at either end, but focusing at the middle. And dealing with what's around the outsides of that so that everybody moves up that scale to a degree and they feel like they're in a good place. So I'm very much looking forward to that next year.
Yeah, I like that. I'd actually take your first sentence there a bit further as well. I think it's more than you're going to find out. I think you're more likely to find out by not micromanaging.
Yeah.
Because if people feel that pressure of you over their shoulder all the time, they're more likely to hide things when it goes wrong. And that's the opposite of what you want as a leader, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
You want them to bring the mistakes and the errors and the things going wrong. You need to know about those. So, that's a great lesson. Great lesson. So there's probably a long list of things actually, but if you had to pick one from this list, what are you most proud of in your business from this year?
Oh, wow. That is a really good question. What am I most proud of? I'm just proud of the people. And I mean that from the only team to the members to the visitors that we get along. Of course, there's always one. I'd be a lie to say there isn't. But I'm always so grateful and so proud that when we started the network and we were just in Winchester in Hampshire and we were just a small group, I was like, we're never going to find wonderful people all throughout the country. We're just not going to find them. And every time we open a new region or a new group or we meet a new person, there's so many wonderful people out there. And that I am just, it sounds too obvious, but it blows my mind. you know, because we get so bogged down in the negative sometimes. There's just all of these wonderful people out there who share our vision and our culture to want to make the workspace, being a solopreneur, being a small business owner, a lovely place to be. So I'm incredibly proud of that. And the fact that people just want to consistently give and help and support people, because that's the way I feel. But I always thought that maybe I was just a bit of an anomaly in that space, you know, or we were, but it's not. It's there through and through, and I'm so proud of that.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I think, you know, Only is a lovely place to be. It's a great network to be a part of. And,
Thank you.
you know, I've been doing it I've lost track of how many years now.
Long time.
It's 2 or 3, isn't it?
I think
don't
you're
know.
probably coming up to 3, I would say.
Yeah, I'll have to go and check.
Yeah.
I don't know where to check, but I'll check.
I can probably do that. So I should be able to do
It'd
that.
be nice to know. Yeah, because this time has flown because I've enjoyed it so much, I think.
That's good.
Time flies when you're having fun, as they say.
It sure does.
Yeah,
Sure
but
does.
I think just even down to like the way you guys run the meetings and how willing you all are to just help. If somebody needs something, if there's a contact you can make, you'll do it without you never expect anything in return for that as well, which I think is really important, and that's just a lovely way to do business as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing people get wrong when they go networking. You know, like if I give something to you, I don't expect you to give something back to me, but Bob or Jane over there might give something to me, and it bounces around. It doesn't have to be just a two-way thing. It's a community thing. You give to the community, and the community gives back. So, yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yeah, and you've completely converted me on the concept of networking as well, by the way.
Excellent.
Like, yeah, before I joined Only, I wasn't sure. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I jumped in, but yeah, my experience of networking had not been positive, and so that was
story.
my kind of perception of it.
Yeah.
So keep doing what you're doing, I guess, is all I can say.
Yeah. Well, we will. We haven't got any choice now. We've come too far.
You're stuck with it. Yeah,
we're stuck. Yeah, we're 8 years in now.
Amazing. All right. So for anyone in the audience then who maybe is struggling with leadership or with their business, or they don't know where to go next year, what's your top advice for 2026?
Have a very open and honest conversation with somebody that you trust, so you can hear the words coming out of your mouth, because you'll probably make more sense of them when you verbalize them rather than just going round and round in your head. It doesn't even have to be a coach or a therapist or anybody in a profession, just somebody you trust that you can have a conversation with. Because I think, as I say, when you say these words out loud, sometimes they make more sense, or they're not as relevant, or you find an answer your way. So yeah, a soundboarding session, I would say, is been doing that with a lot of people this year, and I think it's really, really powerful.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100%. And sometimes it's really useful as well, just because you hear how silly you sound.
Yeah.
So why did I think that? That's clearly wrong. Yeah, we've all done that.
And if you haven't got someone, or you don't want to do that with somebody, just do it as a voice note to yourself, because the act of actually just saying it out loud, you don't even have to listen to it back if you don't want to, but just send yourself that voice note, because you will have a conversation with yourself. You know, why am I thinking that? Or why am I, what? Yeah, just try it.
Yeah. So we're advocating talking to yourself.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. All day, every day.
All right. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's not crazy. It's fine. Yeah.
It's fine. Kelly said.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. Well, I mean, we're pretty much there. Last sort of question, and I have to. There's a pre-question to this question.
Okay.
Because it can be a bit controversial for some people. How do you feel about New Year's resolutions?
I don't bother. I'm not going to stick to them. Nah, it's not going to happen.
Nice.
Yeah. Nah, not interested.
Okay. So the next question then, if you were to have one that was leadership themed, what do you think it would be this year?
It would be to check in more regularly with people for no reason, just to say hello, just to see how they're getting on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there you go. I've said it out loud. I'm not going to make it a resolution, but subconsciously I will take that on board. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus it's recorded now, so
it's recorded
we'll
now.
be holding you to it. Yeah.
And they'll all be now messaging me going, "You didn't do that thing that you said you were going to do." Yeah. Just touching base with people because it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, it is, and it's also, I think, from a leadership perspective, it's a nice and frankly easy way to build the relationships.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Feel like you care when you do things like that.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, Kelly, thanks for being on the show again. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Thank you, David.
And wish you all the best for 2026, and do pass on my best to James and Kearney as well.
I will. Yeah, I will. Thank you, David.
Dave, welcome back. Happy almost New Year.
Likewise.
So starting off, the big question, 2025, what has been your biggest lesson learned?
That resilience requires you to go through difficult things, and that you really can't get it or show it in any other way than going through something difficult. And I joke about 2025 as being the midpoint of the dumpster fire decade. And I think all of us have kind of gone through a lot of interesting challenges that are opportunities for us to show resilience. So that's been kind of my big takeaway from 2025.
Yeah, it has been a weird 5 years, hasn't it? In all sorts of ways. I'm always reminded of that really, it's a bit of a cliche analogy now, but like the tree that grows without ever experiencing the wind. For the first time a storm comes along, that tree will fall down. Yeah. Whereas one that grows up where there's always gusts and it's always learning to flex and bend with the wind will survive the storm.
In fact, the reason that a lot of times that will happen is it's not so much the flexing in the limbs and the trunk, I think, as much as it is that the twisting and bending requires the roots to go deeper. And with deeper roots, the better the anchors, the more survivable it is.
Well, there you go. Building resilient roots, if you like.
Right.
Oh, pleased with myself for that. Myself on the back.
It's well seen and said.
Okay. So from that lesson then, how will that change your approach in the new year?
I don't know if it'll change it. I think it probably just redoubles the focus on sort of faith and hope that things are survivable. Things are, as Marie Forleo says, things are figure-outable. We can get there, right? So it may be challenging, it may be difficult. We may be starting the year not in the optimal place where we had hoped we'd be starting the year, but we can figure things out. And that resilience, that anchor, we rely on the deep roots. And I, as a person of faith, I that causes me to look to where my hope actually is, and to know that the daily things that I'm running into are just opportunities for me to pay attention in different ways.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with resilience, isn't it? There is like an awareness component to it. You've got to learn from the fact you're still going means you're at least a little bit resilient, but then you've got to learn to like see the lessons and apply them as well. And we've talked about this before, haven't we? But
yeah. Well, I mean, it requires us to not just stay focused on what's directly in front of us, right? We have to kind of be able to look up and look out a little bit further out than where we are in the moment. And I think that it takes an intentional commitment to doing that. It's very easy to say, man, things did not go well, and I don't see a path where they are going to go well. And that takes you down a particular path. But being willing to say, things didn't go well, and I don't see that they're on a path to going well, but I'm still here and I'm still able to try something new. I can try something new. I can find somebody who can help me think in a different way. There's still things that I can do. And if we choose to make that shift in our mindset, then I think that we have the ability to build more resilience, to build more positive outcomes. But it takes that intentional choice. And if we make it, we'll get something different. If we don't make it, we'll also get something different, but it might not be what we're hoping for.
I really like that take on resilience, actually, because a lot of, I mean, it feels like a word that's a little bit misunderstood, like so many of these concepts can be. But it's not about just keeping on going, is it? It's not just about just keeping on, and just doing the same things over and over again. There's that famous Einstein quote, isn't there, about insanity on that topic? But I think it is more difficult to actually be resilient in a way of like, what do I actually need to change in order to achieve a different outcome? And even just asking yourself that question to start with is quite difficult for a lot of people, because you get stuck in that loop sometimes, and it's too easy to just, okay, I'm still here, that means I'm resilient, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Right. I think it's useful and informative to think about the fact that there's a difference between persistence and resilience.
Mm.
Persistence is keeping on, but resilience is getting back up. And that's why I said, you can't have resilience without difficult things. You can't get up unless you've been knocked down. So, there is a meaningful difference between persistence and resilience.
No, that's a much better way of explaining it than I did. And of course, logically, it's impossible to argue with that. Like you can't get up if you're never knocked down, unless you sat down by yourself. But let's not stretch the metaphor.
But even then, I think that's a choice, right? You can choose to sit down,
true.
and sometimes it's okay. And part of resilience is being willing to take a beat and then, find your legs and stand back up, or get back up on your knees and crawl, whatever it is, however badly we want to stretch the metaphor, we can. But I think that that's sort of the essence, right? Is even if you choose to sit down, that's a choice. And sometimes that's the best. Resting is a legit thing to do.
Absolutely. I think I probably know the answer to this next question. Not to prejudge it, but so what are you most proud of in the last year?
Yeah, I was trying to be cheeky and give you something that would be unexpected, but I think you probably shining the light on the fact that I finished the book finally. So that's finishing it, publishing it, getting it out into the world. That's I think the thing I'm most proud of, most grateful for.
Yeah, and rightfully so, 100%. And if anyone would like to learn more about that, I'll pop a link to the episode where we talk all about it just a couple of months ago. So do go and listen to that, everyone. Okay, we're nearly there. 2 final questions. One is sort of a variation of what we've been talking about, but it's what's your top piece of advice for 2026 to anyone, any leaders, any founders in the audience?
Yeah, I think this is not going to be a surprise to you either. I think getting through the next season, whatever it is, whether you're on the wave or whether you're in the trough, I think I find myself recommending that people invest in intentionally building their community of people around them, whether that's in sort of a formal community or whether that's just sort of a set of relationships that we cultivate. But it's about building meaningful ways with a handful of people for encouragement and also for challenge, right? People that are going to say, hey, quit wallowing in self-pity, or quit being a jerk about your success, right? Like, if you're being successful, make a way for somebody else. If you're struggling, find a way, and maybe to make a way for somebody else, or find a way to get in a group of people that can encourage you to try new and different things. And so figuring out where we can group up with people that will push us past our comfort zones with encouragement and meaningful support, and being ready to do the same for them. I think that's the path for next year.
Yeah, I like that. Especially the making the way for someone else or helping others and building that whole community atmosphere, I think, is something. Well, I'm obviously biased at trying to build a community myself. I'm bound to say this, aren't I? But I do think in the digital age, particularly, and in those difficult last 5 years we've had, and like the isolation of COVID, all of these things, I think they're starting to play on like the societal psychology, maybe. Right. And I think community, I would argue, has never been more important. So yeah,
I agree with that.
What you've said,
it makes such a difference. We see all the time people saying, "Hey, don't do it alone," and people are looking around and they're saying, "But I'm surrounded by people." So what do you mean don't do it alone? But the thing is, there's a difference, like we were talking about, but with resilience, there's a difference between being around people and being in community. And it pays to know the difference. Just because we're around people doesn't mean that we are building this sort of supportive, connective tissue with the other people. And that comes by a little bit of pushing and a little bit of pulling, right? We're pushing other people to be better version of themselves, and we're drawing from that same well to become a better version of ourselves. And it's that sort of give and take that's missing when we're just surrounded by people, but it's present when we're in community. So how do we ask generous questions? How do we show up and create space for people so that they can unpack what they need, and together getting into it with them, not by telling them what to do, but by just sort of being with each other in this non-passerby state. I think that makes a really big difference.
Yeah, I think it's the right people as well, isn't it? At the right time, in the right context, even. Because, I mean, yeah, some of the most loneliest places in the world, or feelings in the world, are also the busiest, the ones full of the most people. Like the big cities spring to mind, but that might just be because I'm a country boy at heart.
Right, but even in the big city, you go to a coffee shop and you can see people deeply investing in each other. Right.
True.
So it's finding the little oasis. And it's the same thing. Like in the country, you know, like there's vast expanses of space, but there's a table somewhere in somebody's house where they're having a meal. From
Absolutely. We're back to food again, aren't we? Yeah.
Anyway, the point of building intentional relationships, I think it's a good call out that you're making, that finding the right people in the right places in the right time is where the intention really serves us well.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, last question. This is where we get a bit controversial, I find, in the New Year's special. I mean, how do you feel about New Year's resolutions? Love or hate? What do you think? I'm
kind of ambivalent on them.
Okay.
I don't generally love them, but I don't hate them either. I think, for somebody who's talking about setting intention, I can't say that I hate New Year's resolutions. I think a lot of times when we make New Year's resolutions, we have the best of intentions, but we don't really know how to set them well. And we don't necessarily know how to follow through on them. So the cliff, the New Year's resolution cliff is a thing. So let's tie this back to the previous question. And what we see is that when we make a resolution, we set an intention to do a thing, and we have the right people around us doing the pushing and the pulling, and that we are accountable to actually doing our part with, we see more goal completion than when we're doing it on our own. So I think it's fair to have them. I think it's fair to set our intention, but the very first part of it should be, and in order to do that, I will get in with this group of people that will help me.
I like that. Yeah, I think my problem with them, so I'm sort of on the fence a little bit as well, but I'm veering on the not liking it side. And I think because it's just that sort of, well, partly it's a bit of a trend and a fad sort of thing. It's not a real goal. I don't think anyone really sets them planning to achieve them, because they don't take the next step, as you've said, in terms of, okay, think about how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But also, like, if that one goal or that one time of year is the only time you're doing it wrong. Goals should be frequent, like, depending on their scale, obviously, but it shouldn't be the only time of year you're thinking about it. And yes, I know it's beginning of the year, it's a new year, it's a natural time to think about it, but still, like, it's not enough.
I think there are rhythms. So we think in terms of New Year, like whether it's cultural or whether it's not is kind of irrelevant. But if we just are willing to accept the fact that there are rhythms to our lives, I'm not so worried about the fact that it happens once every year. Because if you think about it, we think about, let's say we think about our careers. And we say, well, we're going to have 30, 40 year long career. We're going to start at one point. We're going to grow to some other point, and we may have serendipitous paths or we may not, who knows. But if I know generally that I want to go in this direction, like I set out when I started my career, I wanted to retire from IBM. I didn't retire from IBM. I made it maybe 7 or 8 years at IBM, and then they sold me. But the goal that I set for myself from a career standpoint, I actually did eventually achieve. It just didn't look the same. But that 30 plus year span was broken up into 5 years, 10 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, that kind of thing. So I think there's value in setting sort of the big target for the year. But if that's the only time we think about that big target and we don't set a target that's big enough for the year, then we're probably going to lose our momentum. So here's an example. I mentioned the book, Engineering Wisdom. That book took me 8 years to write, mostly because I didn't really make a good commitment to writing it, to having it, to getting it to done, which, as two project managers spending time together, understanding the definition of done is important. So I set a goal for this coming year, for 2026, that on the first business day of November, which is the day that Engineering Wisdom released, by the first business day of November in 2026, I intend to have the next book done, published. Okay. So it's a big book. It's a big goal. It took me 8 years to do the first one. And so I'm going to compress it into 1 year. And it's, finite. It's time bound, right? I know what success looks like. I have literally uploaded it. It's available. I've pushed the button and it joins my book page on Amazon. So I think that's there's things I have to do. I have to write it. I have to promote it. There's a whole set of things that have to be done in order for that book to get, it has to be edited. It has to have a cover. It has to have all these things it has to have. And that's a big thing. I can't do it in a month. I can't do it in a week, right? It's going to take me the better part of the year to get it done. So I think if we are mindful in how we set the goal, and what is that goal in support of? Well, that goal is in support of the fact that, I want to help transfer what I've learned over the course of my career and give future leaders a head start that will help them achieve way more than I or the people I've helped have been able to achieve in a shorter period of time, if they want it. So what does that mean? That means that there are conversations that are yet to be had that in the next 3 to 5 years I want to be having. And the book is one step. This second book is one step toward getting to that longer term goal. So I think when we have context for our goals and they're not just, willy-nilly, if you want to call it that, but they actually are intentional, I think it makes a difference. And I think in that context, they're a good thing.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about the career goal you had when you started your career. I don't think I have ever had one. And it's sort of, maybe it's an interesting example as an opposite, because I had a thing I wanted to do that then didn't pan out. So I then needed a job. I took the job. I ended up working for the same guy for 10 years and leaving because it just got unbearable. Things came to a head and I went out on my own just before COVID. And there was no real, I don't think I ever even thought necessarily about a career goal, because the career goal I'd had up until taking that first job had been the one I didn't get. And I didn't know what to do next. So I just took something that paid. And that's kind of just how my career has evolved.
Well, and to be clear, I mean, I think there's more than one way to do things. And even though I set sort of a goal, my goal was to sort of retire as an executive from IBM. I was going to be the guy that came basically up from the mailroom, if you will, right? No senior executive at IBM ever came up, as far as I know, starting as a technical writer. So, why? But why not? Why not retire as the chief information officer of IBM? I didn't know I couldn't do it. So, but that doesn't mean that everybody has to set a career goal. My point was that I picked the career goal as an example, but my brother had a goal to learn to fly an airplane, and it took a while because he had a bunch of kids, and they made a decision that it probably wasn't the best idea to learn how to fly an airplane when you're the sole provider for, an income for a family. But then eventually they got to the place where that wasn't an issue anymore, and he learned how to fly. And then his son learned how to fly, and his son is now a commercial pilot with Delta Airlines. And so, but he couldn't learn to fly in a week or a day, or but at some point he made a commitment. He said, I want to learn how to fly. And then he got into taking flight lessons, and that's a process. And once he finished, he was a certified pilot. And then Will did the same thing, and Will said, hey, I want to train people how to fly. So he got his multi-engine trainer certification. And so these kinds of things are all around us, and it doesn't have to necessarily just be career. But the key thing is being clear about what the end state is in the goal. Like, if I'm going to make a New Year's resolution to go to the gym every day, you're probably not going to go to the gym every day. But if you're going to go to the gym and you're going to accomplish this particular goal, I'm going to pass the presidential fitness test by the end of the year or whatever. Okay, well, now we have something that we're shooting at, and it gives that resolution some form and something that we can evaluate. Are we progressing toward it? Are we not progressing toward it? What's in the way of that? How can we adjust? And that's what gives a resolution staying power.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah, it's not, I guess I was offering an alternative example, let's say, for the career case, but
yeah, sure. Well, and that's what I said. There's lots of ways to it, right? That's just the one I picked, and you're right. You can build a great career opportunistically going from one thing to the next thing. There's absolutely, and to a large extent, that's the back half of my career.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. I don't know. I feel sometimes like it would have benefited from having a bit more of that intention about where I was going and thinking about more than the problems that were right in front of my face at various moments of my career.
Yeah. Well, there's a beautiful coaching question in there, but that's not what we're here to do. So I won't ask it. I'll ask it, but you don't have to answer it. The question is, what does asking that question reflectively, how does that serve you? What do you get from that as you look forward? Right? Whether it would have benefited or whether it wouldn't have benefited, it is. And so what meaningful difference does that make as you think about looking forward? But we can take the answer off the air.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is it changes how I plan ahead, doesn't it? What I do next time, if it comes up again. Yeah. Anyway, no, it's a good question though. You're right. Yeah.
Maybe there's a good New Year's resolution in there for you.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I mean, you've already answered that as well, because that was going to be my next question of what would your resolution be? And I think you've covered it pretty well. So I'm out of questions.
Yeah. Got to get the next book done.
Awesome. Well, I'll look forward to reading that in November next year.
Oh, I'll probably offer you an opportunity to see it before then.
Excellent. I was hinting there. Yeah. Well, Dave, thanks for being back again. It's, as always, great to talk with you, and have a very happy new year and all the best for that book and everything else you do next year.
Thank you. You too.
Daphne, welcome back to Leading with Integrity, second time this year.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and happy almost New Year. We're obviously recording this in advance, but it will be coming out on New Year's Eve.
Awesome. Happy early New Year, too.
How's your year been? What's 2025 been like?
2025 has been a year of learning. Lots of different things happening. And I would say for me, a lot of things have come from family things, shifting. Our kids' school closed down, for
Oh,
example. Yeah. And health things came up this year. I stepped on a toothpick, and basically from that came a trip to urgent care, which is, for those who are listening internationally, it's like the emergency room, and lots of other health things that came. There was a toothpick stuck in my foot for like 5 weeks. And I had
what?
my most speaking engagements ever at airports all around the country during that time.
Oh,
So I was
no.
walking on this toothpick in my foot. So, yes. So what I learned, one of the things I learned was the power of like perseverance when things are really challenging and nobody knows, but then also the power of rest. And like sometimes we need to just stop and be still and take care of ourselves. So lots of different shifts. And then in business, I've had the best speaking engagement I've ever done, the best training I feel like I've ever done. And then I've also had mistakes I've never made in my business, like random mistakes from doing things at midnight. Because remember, I learned about rest, remember later? So yeah, mistakes, great thing. Various things happened this year. So it was an interesting year, but lots of good and lots of learning.
Wow. Okay. I mean, a school closing, that feels like really disruptive. Was there like another one nearby, or was that a real pain?
Yeah, it was a real pain. So we actually moved to this area, to a different state. We moved from Florida to Georgia. We wanted to move to Georgia. Georgia's huge. We decided where we were going to live based on this school.
Oh, no.
So yeah, our oldest was going to kindergarten, and we said we want a school she can be at for a long time. We're gonna buy a house somewhere close to this school. We're gonna find a church. We're gonna create community. So
Nice.
the school's closed, but that's 4 years later. So we've been here since 2021. And so we've adjusted. Our kids are doing great, but it was a letdown. And I was the PTA president at the school. So I was the president of students and teachers and parents kind of coalition at that school. But there was declining enrollment, so the school closed down. So again,
Oof.
I think it's because I'm a coach that I'm always trying to find the lesson. I
Yeah.
think one of the lessons is that and I'm very spiritual, and this is something from the Bible. It says that all things work out for good, basically. And so and that we have our plans, and then oftentimes our plans are not, we say his plans, but our plans are not the plans that are actually going to happen. So our plans, where we were going to move to this area, we're going to be at the school for a long time. But what we've had to do is pivot. And I've learned in business the power of pivoting and shifting over and over and over again as society changes, as technology changes. And so I applied it to my personal life as well. We've just been having to pivot and shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, that's the nice mindset to have. So it's, yeah. I can, still though, I mean, a lot of people, if that had been me, well, we moved here for the thing's gone, let's move again. Start again.
Like, well, international.
Yeah. It's, I guess, as well, living in somewhere like that. It's not like for me in the UK, not that I have kids, but there's like 3 schools in a stone's throw
Ooh,
distance because it's
yeah.
a much smaller place. So
Wow.
everything's closer together.
Yes.
So that'd be a lot less disruptive in
Mhm.
that aspect, at least. And a toothpick, really? 5 weeks? Did you not notice it? I have to ask, like.
So what happened was I went to the emergency room, basically the urgent care here. Like, so it's
Yeah.
it's like a place that's open during the day, not during the night, for emergencies. A week after it happened, because
Mhm.
it happened, and then I I thought, okay, not sure how big of a deal this was that I stepped on a toothpick, but the pain was so bad after a week that I went to the urgent care at that Friday. The urgent care person was like, I don't want to hurt you and check to see if it's in there. It's probably not in there. Like a piece of the toothpick's probably not in there. So we're just going to watch it, put a Band-Aid on it every day. I'm going to give you this antibiotic.
Oof.
And then I had a whole bunch of speaking engagements after that. So that week was actually not a huge busy week, but I had a whole bunch of stuff after that. So 5 weeks later, I was actually out of town at the airport. And I was like, I need to call the doctor right now, my main doctor, not the urgent care doctor, to just take another look into this toothpick thing to see what's going on. She immediately was like, did you take a tetanus shot? And I was like, no. She was like, the urgent care person didn't tell you that? I said, no. And she said, you need to go to the podiatrist, the foot doctor. And I was like, oh, it's a great idea. So I went to the foot doctor, took the tetanus shot that day. She put me on oral antibiotics because apparently if there was a toothpick in my body, it's not good. And the bacteria could be doing bad things. So then I went to the podiatrist, and within 2 minutes, she took the toothpick out of my foot. So there was a piece. It was like this big, which is pretty big.
So obviously it wasn't hard to find then. It feels like the first doctor could have looked for that.
No, it wasn't hard to find. No, it wasn't. So now I have this thing where on the right side of my body, there's this pain that's rotating and nobody knows what it is. So now I have to go see a whole bunch of doctors. So I'm very optimistic though, as you probably have noticed.
Yes.
And so I'm like, you know what? I'm like, this pain is very humbling because nobody can see it, only I can feel it. And there's all kind of deep things I can say about that with just people in society in general. But at the same time, I could have died from having a foreign object in my body and not having a tetanus shot for all that time. And it maybe, infected me and all that kind of stuff. So I think about that. And I was also thinking even this week, like, what if one of my children would have stepped on that? I have a 7 and a 9-year-old. Or even my husband, who doesn't, I don't think he would mind me sharing, he doesn't schedule doctor's appointments very well. Whereas I'm like, all right, I'll schedule with this person and that person. I'll do this today and email that. So like I'm on it with all this kind of stuff. But if it were him, he may have let it go for longer, possibly. And
that's a very man thing, isn't it? Like, I don't want to be sexist, but it's a very man thing. We don't do that as a rule. I think partly because we're just, we're lazy and we don't like to face it. And partly there's the societal expectation around like pain tolerance, isn't there? Where
it's like, it's not that serious. It's fine. But for me, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I need to get it checked out right now. So I think of those things and how it's a mostly mild pain. But I'm getting it checked out. So that's the story.
Well, I mean, fingers crossed it's a simple solution and it all works itself out. And
Agreed.
You're right. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. So
it could have been a lot worse.
I don't know much about tetanus apart from you need to have the drug if anything like that happens. I can't. Is that the one where you can get really bad lockjaw and stuff in it? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think so. And then I told one colleague who was like, my uncle died from tetanus. And I was like, oh, you're from not having the tetanus shot. And I was like,
that can focus your mind. Yep.
Yes. So I feel very blessed to be here and like to still be able to do the things that I do in the midst of that thing happening. But for me, it's partially a reminder of I need to rest, I need to sleep, I need to take care of myself because I don't know what this is happening on my right side. And then I'll continue to go to all the doctor's appointments as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're still smiling as well. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I am surprised at myself often too at this level of optimism, but it's good to have.
Yeah, it's definitely better that than the other way around. 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Well, as I say, fingers crossed for you. And
thank you so much.
You're so right as well. If it was someone else in your life, you'd have been straight on that. we're all like that, aren't we? Like when it's yourself, you can just downplay it and brush it off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's
Human
true.
nature.
It is. It is human nature.
Yeah. So some big lessons this year then, personal and professional, I think is fair to say. How are those lessons going to change what you do in the new year, your approach to 2026?
Yeah, so I just was working on my schedule and trying to not have things happening in the evening as much as possible. So that was my catch up on anything I didn't do during the daytime in the evening. And I think balance is so important. Balance as a leader, right? If you're a firm leader, also being able to be a supportive leader, balance, and someone like me who loves details and sometimes saying, you know what, maybe I don't need to do a 10-page document on that system. Maybe I can do a 2-page document on that.
Yeah.
So I think efficiency, right? Just making sure that efficiency is happening. Because if I'm trying to balance and not overwork, then how can I make a certain process or system more efficient than I have in the past? And grace, because as I mentioned, those mistakes from being tired or having a whole bunch of medical appointments and not having as much time to do the work that I was doing before. I needed to have that goes back to the systems too. Like, what are systems to make sure there's quality control measures in place for the things that I do, but also grace for when I make mistakes, asking for grace, operating in grace. But I've since, developed more systems to avoid those mistakes. But I had to learn grace and continue to have to be gracious for myself, for my body, for my business, and all those things.
Yeah, it is one of those things, isn't it? Business owners and solopreneurs as well, in particular, we are very bad, I think, at taking time for ourselves, knowing when to stop, and also just like the simpler stuff, like not knowing your limits and not taking on too much as well. Like there's always that one more client you want to say yes to, or that one more appearance you want to make, or podcast you want to do, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's why we burn out as a group, probably more than any other.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good lesson. Very good lesson.
And I don't want to burn out. I don't want to burn out. But something that I've been working on that I should also share with you is also making better use of the extra when it comes to finances. So something that I learned this year that has nothing to do with my business. So I'm not a financial advisor, but investing is something that I've been doing more of this year. So I already have a like a business retirement fund that's already doing well. Uh, and I save and all that good stuff. But just for the money that was sitting there in my savings, especially on the business side, making sure that I'm investing that money. Not a high risk investor. I'm not a high risk investor, but at least putting it somewhere where it can grow exponentially is something that I've been thinking of as well. Because as business people, and if you're a career professional, you're listening to this, we're probably not going to be working forever. I love working, but I don't, as I get older, don't love working around the clock. So I am also putting things in place to make sure that the work that I'm doing is sustainable for me financially and for my family. 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, if I wanted to drastically reduce the amount of work that I'm doing, that there's money growing as well. So to your point about entrepreneurs scaling back, trying to balance more, but also systems and efficiency also apply to how I'm using the extra money that I have to grow as well.
Yeah, and taking that long-term view, thinking about your future, and I guess in a normal business, I say normal, I use that word loosely, that would come under like succession planning, wouldn't it? But yeah, don't know about you. I don't think there's going to be anyone succeeding me in my business.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not the kind even to make my child feel like I have to pass it to her. I have 2 children that both have like coach tendencies, and
Okay.
one has
Well,
trainer tendencies, but I don't want to force anyone to take it on. I'm
no.
working on a succession plan for my business now. Um, and I know in some families, the nephew, the cousin, the niece, they're like, you must take over. So I have a succession plan in place. I have the operations and systems all written down. Maybe I might sell the business
Yeah, I was going to say.
years. I'm setting it up so that it's ready for that, but maybe I won't. So I don't know. I want to keep my options open.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. I mean, for me, I can't imagine anyone wanting to take it on from me. So
You never know.
that's another danger, though, isn't it? When you're a solopreneur, like the business is you, and to an extent, you are the business. So it can be quite difficult, I think, to separate those.
Yeah, I know with Gen Z though, from what I hear and what I've interacted with when I interact with them, a lot of them are very entrepreneurial. So I could imagine someone with means saying, David, I know your business is a lot, but I love it. And I want to do this because I want to be my own boss. So I can imagine that happening especially with the younger generation and them not really, a number of them, not to stereotype all of them, but a number of them not really interested in working for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know.
know,
If it were me, I'd just start my own, though. But
yeah, that's
well, I
true.
did. Yeah, but
It's true.
I don't know. Yeah, well, never say never, as they say.
That's true.
In between your school challenges and your health challenges this year in your business, what have you been most proud of?
I've been most proud of being able to solidify my largest contracts ever with organizations, doing a mix of training and coaching. At the beginning of the year, I started off with 6 other coaches who are part of my team. I bring them in on larger projects. Now I have 8 other coaches that are on my team. And today, talking to one additional, she might be the last if she's a great fit for now. Um, but I feel like I've gotten some really great people on the team and have delivered on some larger contracts. Uh, and so I'm really, really excited about that and the impact that creates, the impact that the clients have shared that has created as well.
That is exciting. Yeah, and right to be proud of that too.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I know listeners, I don't know if they've heard me before, but the contracts are associated with culture transformation. So difficult conversations training, how to be more collaborative leaders, how to have higher performing teams, resilience. So mastering the art of resilience in challenging times. And then the coaching, everybody gets a one-on-one coach who's worked in 2 of the programs that I've done. So they can choose any coach that they want on my team, and have 1 or 2 sessions with those coaches. And those can be focused on anything that they'd like, hopefully on the things that we talked about, like communication, collaboration, difficult conversations, like professional relationships, how to communicate effectively, strategically. But really, they can focus on whatever they want. So I like that. I feel like I've been able to make an impact through those contracts where organizations are able to enhance their culture. So in the midst of everything going on, I thought to myself too, David, I was like, should I tell them that I just had an injury last week and I'm kind of limping? Maybe not. So I didn't say I didn't say anything. But I'm glad that in the midst of those challenges that were happening personally, that I still was able to make an impact on these different people's lives within these organizations.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they might have noticed if you showed up with the limp, I suppose, but it's yeah, to a certain point, it's nobody's business though, is it? Like
That's true. It's a hard call. It's something I've
it
also been
is.
exploring this year, which is so interesting because you have a podcast. So this relates to you. But something I've been thinking about is how much should be shared? Yeah. It's like when you're trying to create friendships, how much should you share about health challenges or personal challenges or how you're feeling or struggling, all those things, or even things to celebrate, and how much should be kept to yourself? I'm realizing I think I need to share a little bit more. Um, as I've shared about health, people have been like, my friend is a doctor. Would you like to talk to her? Or, hey, this actually, same thing happened to me. Someone was like, I also stepped on a toothpick years ago. And I was like, what? So, so, um, that's such an interesting thing to explore. And I think with podcasts, it kind of pushes you to share. I could be very like not as personal and be like, well, David, it was a great year. Lots of different things happened, but I've learned a lot. And let me tell you more about my business, right? I could say that, which would be fine, but I'm choosing to be a little bit more transparent and vulnerable and hoping that somebody can benefit from that, even if they haven't stepped on a toothpick.
Yeah.
Or if their business is completely different than mine, or they're not a business professional. But that's
I think
exploring.
it is interesting. I think it's personal choice at the end of the day. I find as well, it's like my mood at the time. Some days I'm perfectly comfortable just sharing all sorts of things. Like yesterday, I was talking about with someone, like the traditional gender roles in relationships and households and things, and about how that's starting to shift and has been for a few years. And so I shared the fact that I'm not the major breadwinner in my household, and that we actually look at it more as a kind of less about who's the breadwinner, because that's a pretty horrible old term phrase, isn't it? I don't really like anyway. Like in at least in my marriage, we think about it more in terms of contributions, who's contributing, not even so much in terms of who's contributing the most or who's doing what. It's more just like, this is what I can contribute today, this is what I can do tomorrow, and it's a very different way of looking at it to the traditional, which is weird because I wouldn't have described myself as a non-traditional person necessarily, but it's just become our reality since I left my job and my career and started doing this instead. Since COVID, that had a shift in the way things worked for us, as it did with loads of people, and it's just become the norm. And and that just happened to be that conversation. It felt right at the time, and I was in the right mood, so we shared it and I talked about it. Then I've had other days or other guests as well. I think the interaction you have with the other person makes a big difference to it as well. Where for whatever reason I just didn't feel quite as open that day, or there's just something about the conversation just didn't feel quite right, so I didn't say something I might have. So yeah, I think it is a personal choice. I think the context has a big impact on it, and I think you've got to read the room a little bit as well. Anyway. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
David, I enjoyed your 2 cents. It was more like $1. It was good. Thank you for that. And that makes complete sense.
Yeah. I also find it gets easier the more you do it. I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing, though. Because oversharing is a thing, too.
I agree, David. So most people have been very, how do I say it? I'm going to say receptive. And they have also shared a number of things, even if it's just a resource or encouragement or asking questions. But I know I've also shared with like 1 or 2 people who are just like, oh, and then they change the subject about like the health thing. It could be anything. It could be business things. I'm like, have this client working on trying this with my business. And someone might be like, okay, so did you eat lunch yet? So then I realized, as you mentioned, like, it's just maybe not the right conversation, for that. And I think that's just like life. Like, someone once shared with me, he said, you know what? I realize I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I was like, man, that's wisdom for life, for business, for everything. But I think even with conversations, certain conversations are not everybody's cup of tea. And so I think for me, trying to think about what that means and just if it's not someone's cup of tea, being like, okay, that's fine. Let's move on to like what we ate for lunch. That's fine. As well, being okay with that.
Yeah, it's tricky in the workplace, isn't it? I think there's people's upbringing, like their professional upbringing as well, have a big impact on this. And I used to be one of those people, actually. Like, I wouldn't want to talk about anything like that. Anything from home would never be discussed at work. I drew a very clear and distinct line there. And I think some people as well, like anything health related, anything relationship related, not just at work, they just won't talk about it outside of home. And so there's like cultural impacts there as well, and differences. And it makes some people uncomfortable, I guess. And
Yeah.
fair enough.
We may have talked about this in the last podcast too a little bit, but in 2020, a lot of bosses were told to get really personal with their direct reports. Like, get personal, ask them about their personal life, see how they're doing, form connection. And for some people, I think they're receptive to that. For others, it's like, you're crossing the line. This is a boundary. I don't want to tell you about how my weekend went or what's happening at home or my dog, even though my dog's right here. I don't want to talk about my dog with you. So I think it goes back to what we said, just like the reading the room, seeing if people want more of this, if this feels supportive to them, or if this feels like it helps you to connect, or if they're like, this is making me really uncomfortable and I prefer not to talk about this topic.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting example because I think it speaks to two things, really. One is like, how good is the relationship to start with? Because you can't just go from 0 to tell me everything about your life. I've never asked you these questions before, but tell me, what's up with you? How was your weekend? Blah, 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 blah. You can't, it's just not going to work. And I think that's the second thing, isn't it? Is the fact of overnight, suddenly somebody decided that was an important thing for managers to be doing. And so that's what they had to start doing. That would have hit wrong. 100%. I can totally see if I was an employee in a business like that, and suddenly my manager, who's never cared about anything I do outside of work before, wants to know everything about my life. That would have been greeted with suspicion, sarcasm, non-compliance, and all sorts. Maybe that's just the Britishness in me. I don't know.
No, I think it's others too.
Yeah,
I think it's others too. I think that goes with the relationship, knowing your employees. So, if Lisa seems like she may have always been wanting to share, maybe John is like, he's been itching to share about his dog and his house and his relationship. But you have Ben is just like, no, don't you ever even try. Then, you may not want to, you may just want to say, hey, Ben, how are you? Great. I just want to let you know if there's anything that I can ever do to support you when it comes to your work, especially now with all the challenges that are happening. Please let me know. And I just love to know how are things going when it comes to your work. Maybe see how if Ben is like going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff, and then maybe say, hey, great. And then how are you, dealing with all these challenges? Are you feeling okay? And if Ben's like, I've been fine, pretty much, period, then maybe Ben may not wanting to expound on anything at this time.
Yeah, I think you do that sort of thing, have that kind of conversation over a longer period, and it's a gradual build up, isn't it? It's building trust, really. That's what it's about. I think a lot of managers are guilty of that, assuming trust exists when they've really done no work to make that the case.
Yeah, that's a little skill too, like knowing if you've built rapport or not. But that makes sense.
Yeah, even thinking about words like that. I mean, that's the first step, isn't it? But again, like there's a lot of workplaces where it's just, I'm the manager, I'm the boss. That's all you need to know, sort of thing. And it's a very, very old-fashioned attitude, but still prevalent, unfortunately.
Yeah.
How do you feel about New Year's resolutions?
I think it can be good to set an intention for the year. I do whole workshops about like making sure it's like, if you're setting a goal, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound, right, SMART goal. And then also making sure that within your capacity currently that you're setting a reach goal and like a minimum goal, right? Your target goal, so that way it's reasonable. However, I feel like there's also something there that is about how are you going to sustain this thing that you desire to do? Is there a plan in place to make sure it happens, or else it can become a letdown? Like I set this goal, I'm going to be in the gym every day. I haven't been in the gym at all. And maybe you will be. Maybe it's great. Maybe you will be. But what are the systems you have in place, or even an accountability partner, something to make sure that it happens? If not, it can be challenging. What I love about New Year's resolutions, like the idea behind it, is you can reset. So what happens at work, in business, in people's personal life, people's marriages, people's parenting, is they're like, it's just horrible and that's it. It's over. We've been stressing out. We're just gonna keep stressing out. Like I work 60 hours a week. I'm just gonna keep working 60 hours a week. My business is failing. It's just gonna fail. So don't think that way. Okay. If you're thinking that way, there's always an opportunity to reset. But New Year's feels to a lot of people like the right time to reset. To say, you know what? I'm going to start putting in more time into talking to my significant other, because when we did that, our marriage was better. Or we're going to find marriage counseling. Or, you know what? I'm working 60 hours a week, but I'm going to take off a week or two, if you can, right? Or I'm going to take off 3 days. And then during that time, I am going to figure out how I'm going to decrease hours. I'm going to call my colleague who's really good at balancing their time at work. I'm going to look at what is essential, what is not as essential. I'm going to research about prioritizing work to be able to minimize working over 40 hours. Or if it's business, I'm going to really look at my business and see what's working for me and what's not working for me. What offerings maybe I don't need to offer, what I need to offer. You can do all of that. So I think New Year's presents a natural time where people are thinking, I can do something new, where I wish the coach in me wishes that people could do that more often. So quarterly, monthly, every day, every week, even just every week, saying, you know what, this week, this is how it went. Here's how I want it to go next week. Here's what I'm going to do differently. But I love that New Year's presents a time for people to feel like they can make that shift.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that last point, especially. I think that's my main issue with New Year's resolutions, because I'm not sure about them myself. Is the
Yeah.
fact you just do it that one time a year and that's it, and then that's it. Like, it should be a more regular occurrence, I think, throughout the year. And then the other part of it, which you also touched on, is it's all very well making this grand aim. Is it actually achievable? What's your plan to get there? Because if you don't have those things, then it's kind of just you're trend following. You're doing it for the social media. You're not doing it for the real change, or because you're serious about the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. Some good thoughts there. So on that basis then, if you were to have a leadership themed New Year's resolution this year, what would it be?
I have to say this too. So I haven't set New Year's resolutions in the past few years, but I do have a word for the year. So 1 year was release, being able to let things go, in general. And 1 year, last year was village. So I was like, oh, I need to form some more community in this place that we moved to, right? And then this year was space. I'm like, I need to make space. And space could mean for rest, or space could mean to just have a conversation with someone that you meet at the store. So space, making space for the right things. So next year, I haven't started to think about this yet. I should have tried to do that before we talked.
That's all right. No
Maybe
worries.
thinking you might ask me that question. Hmm. I think so. I don't know if this is going to be it, but this for now, my first
Okay.
draft
Yep.
is the word
Provisional. Yep.
essentialism.
Ooh.
So essentialism is the name of a book that a whole bunch of consultants were asked to read in one of the programs that I paid for to grow my business. And essentialism, if I was to summarize this book in concept, it's what it sounds like, is that in business, in our careers, often if we focused on doing the things that are the most important, and that book will say even just the things that are most important, we would experience more success than focusing on too many things. So I would like to think about essentialism in my marriage. Like, what are those things that are most important that I would like to do? For example, my husband writes me these little love notes. This is a word. This is a little note he put in my laptop. So when I opened it, I was like, oh my gosh, what's this? And then it was like a whole bunch of things that he thinks that I am: loving, godly, selfless. It's very nice. But I'm like, I was thinking this morning, does my husband want notes too? Like, I don't think he does. But what's one thing I could do that he loves to make him feel loved even more? I try to make him feel loved on a regular basis, but what's like one big thing? And then in my business, what does essentialism look like? What are the most important things? In my parenting, what does essentialism look like? Even in if I'm at an event with alumni from the college that I went to, or just in whatever I'm doing, if I'm doing a training, what is essential in these 2 days? One thing that is the most important thing. And I think practicing essentialism a little bit more will allow me to be able to take the most out of the different things that I'm a part of, contribute the most without doing the most. The young people say you doing the most sometimes, like you're doing too much. So, what does that look like? I think that is probably my first draft that I could be interested in for next year. Essentialism.
Okay. Yeah. So considering you just came up with that, that's pretty well reasoned and quite a thoughtful answer. So well done. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I love the concept as well. I'm going to have to find that book now as well.
Mhm.
Piqued my curiosity.
Book.
Well, Daphne, that's all we've got time for, really. More than we've got time for, if anything. Thank you so much for coming back. It was great to see you again. Loved this conversation again. And all the best for the new year. I'm sure you're going to have an amazing year.
Oh, thank you, David. I appreciate those wishes. And I love this conversation too. So thanks for having me.
Anytime. Anytime. Scott, welcome back again to Leading with Integrity. What's the third time for you now? Fourth? I've lost count.
Yeah, I don't know. 77. I think this is the 77th.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, we'll go with that for now. Yeah, well, welcome back and happy almost New Year as well. We're releasing on New Year's Eve this year, this one. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, now I know what I can do for I can gather my friends and we can watch Scott on a podcast.
Why not? Why not?
Hey, everybody, come ignore the ball. Watch this.
Well, I mean, is drinking a thing for you at New Year? Because it's an alcohol-fueled holiday for much of us in the UK.
Yes. I mean, I'll have a couple glasses of wine, but in all honesty, usually I'm in bed. I go to bed normally around 9:30. So every fourth year I make it up to midnight.
Yeah, me too. Except for the every fourth year part. Yeah. So I was going to say, like, if it's a drinking sort of party, we could game the system here, couldn't we? Like, we can seed a word in here somewhere and just keep saying it, and you can make that into a drinking game and not tell anyone.
Shaka Khan, something like that.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, anyway, so I mean, end of 2025. Hope you had a lovely Christmas as well.
Thank you.
And yeah, how's your year been?
Year's been great. It's, as a parent, I wish there was a word for the emotion of everything. So, you've got your highs, you've got your lows, you've got your things that cause anxiety, you got your things that cause enthusiasm. I mean, it's just, what's the word for the emotion of everything? But 2025 has been, on the whole, a wonderful, wonderful year. Family, we got to travel together and everyone is doing their thing and they're awesome little human beings. We have 3 kids. And work, it had me all over the place and working with a number of different types of organizations. And that's really what I was hoping to do with the transition out of full-time academia, was to work with organizations, people doing the work today. And I've loved that. I mean, I'm learning all the time. And it's giving me a new perspective, which I've loved.
Oh, amazing. That's great. Yeah. Very cool. How have you found that transition generally? Like, was it a bit of a shock, or were you eager for it?
Eager for it. I've kind of come to realize that my master, what fuels me is learning, fueling my curiosity. And so I will go deep enough into an area where I feel like I kind of get it. And then it's like, what's next? And so I view leadership and leader development, management development. I mean, have you ever seen that blind man and the elephant parable? Have you ever seen that?
Maybe. Rings a bell.
So it's this parable. It's I don't know where it came from, but you have these blind men, and each of them are touching a part of an elephant. So the person touching the tusk says, well, this is a sword, and another person touching the tail says, well, this is a snake, and a person touching the leg says, well, this is a wall. And everyone has a little bit of piece of the puzzle. But I think for me, exploring leader development from a academic standpoint, great. From a classroom standpoint, wonderful. Doing leader development in an organization, cool. Consulting, I mean, it's just all these different kind of angles. The podcast is another little bit of an angle at the issue. And so I know what I'm curious about. How do we better prepare people to serve in leadership and management roles? How we can do that work better. That's the mission. That's what I'm passionate about. But I'm very, very curious about looking at it from a number of different perspectives. So this has kind of scratched that itch, so to speak. And so the transition's been awesome from a curiosity and learning standpoint, for sure.
Oh, pleased to hear it. Yeah. And what would you say has been like the most surprising thing that you've learned about leadership in practice that you didn't necessarily see from the theoretical academic side?
Well, I'm really, I've spent the year really focused on LinkedIn and really driving kind of content creation on LinkedIn. And something that I've loved about that experience has just been, I need to communicate in a little bit of a different way. It's a little bit faster. It's a little bit looser. It's, at times some sweeping generalizations. How do you write things that are a little bit more sticky, that have a little bit of a hook? That's less of a thing in academic writing. So for me, it's kind of, I'm on this search, this hunt for how do we explain some of these concepts in a really sticky way, in a way that lives in the mind of listeners. So that's been really a lot of fun. I think for me, having the theory is wonderful and that background is great, but you're not going to stand in front of a group of humans and say, well, the 4 I's of transformational leadership would suggest that intellectual stimulation and inspirational motivation are key. It's just, and it's too dense. Yeah. So how do we explain these things in a sticky way? Love that conversation. Fascinated with that conversation right now.
Yeah. Now, maybe it's because I was still wearing my Star Trek Christmas jumper. But as you were saying that, immediately Mr. Spock jumped into my mind, trying to explain the logical theory of leadership when there's people standing there sort of scratching their heads and making faces at him.
Well, how do you balance that, right? We need some Kirk and we need some Spock. And kind of the blend of the two is probably where the magic lies, right?
100%. Blend of the 3, I would say, because you've got to have the empathy of McCoy as well.
So look at you, little Wrath of Khan reference there, right?
Yeah, I've put prior thought into that over many years. Yeah, that wasn't an off-the-cuff thing. Yeah.
For listeners, he's referencing the film Wrath of Khan. Well, wait, was that Wrath of Khan? It was the end of Wrath of Khan, where Spock mind melds with McCoy.
Indeed.
Yes. I can geek out with you, a little bit on Star Trek. I'm not going to.
Yeah. I mean, side note, there aren't enough Star Trek Christmas jumpers in the world. This was literally the only one I could find in an adult size this year. So somebody get on that, please. Anyway, cool. So, I mean, LinkedIn then sounds like maybe the source of your biggest lesson from this year.
Yes. Well, LinkedIn, but then also just working with clients, managers and leaders in workshops, at keynotes, who, will follow up afterwards on the break, get into these conversations in the sessions. So much learning is happening in that space as well. And I'm working in one day this week, I was talking with potential clients in food, metro parks, healthcare, architecture, and construction. And so my days and my weeks, really, it might be oral surgeons into design, into banking. It's all over the place. But what I love about that is that I'm starting to see themes across these different industries of how things are kind of working or not working out in industry. And so that's been wonderful. So working with the people, with the challenges today, but then also, how do I write about this stuff? And how do I write about it in a way that's a little bit more sticky than an academic journal article, for sure?
Yeah, I have to say I struggle with that as well. So if you find the secret, please let me know.
Again, it's the Spock McCoy, it's the Spock Earth, right?
Yeah. It's I don't know. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before I hit record, weren't we? And I was saying about my love-hate relationship with LinkedIn, and I think, like, I love some of the interactions I have on there. I've met some amazing people that I wouldn't have if I wasn't on there.
Yeah.
But also, I can never figure out, like, when something works, like when a post really lands and it gets massive engagement. Massive is relative to me, but
yeah,
I never really understand why. And then
Yes.
same when it doesn't, still don't understand why. Like, yeah, you read about the algorithm.
Yes.
Everyone has a different opinion of how it works. None of them seem to reflect reality.
Well, what's kind of fun, I mean, you have to, in some ways, on one level, okay, I have built incredible relationships that have turned into real world relationships on LinkedIn. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to find the real people. So that's one thing. So that's been fun. That's been interesting. The writing part of it has been interesting, and writing in a different way. But to your point, I mean, on one level, it's a little bit of a game. I mean, how do you figure out how to work with and align with what the algorithm values? And I don't know that that's really going to go anywhere in our world as a reality of things. I imagine in 2035, some employee will be saying, I need to align with the algorithm better. I'm not getting the promotion.
I really hope not. I mean, that feels like dystopian future sort of thing, doesn't it?
I have a post right now that I'm working on about that, and it's about a day with your AI manager. And I then said to ChatGPT, I copied and pasted it, put it into ChatGPT, and I said, how far off are we from this? And it was hilarious because it started giving me examples of where some of this technology is being used and utilized. So there was an article a few years ago. I haven't explored the validity of it, but apparently the algorithm fired some employees at Amazon. They weren't producing. And so the algorithm said, these are the low performers. These are the people that need to go. So, I don't know. I don't know that we're very far off from everything being tracked and your output being under scrutiny by the algorithm. I don't know. So aligning with the algorithm, I'm getting some lessons now about how to do that effectively, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we love the algorithm. Please don't fire us or anything. I mean, I instantly go to sci-fi, and I'm trying to think of examples from there where AI was running the world.
Well, go back to Star Trek. I mean, it's not too distant that we'll have holodecks as a training ground for any number of different endeavors when it comes to leadership and management skills. I believe we'll have holodecks within the next 10 years. And you will be placed into a scenario. It could be that I just have a VR set on, or just not even a VR set any longer, But what was it in the film Her? He was playing a video game where like the room was also kind of the screen. And so I see a mixed reality future where I could be practicing presentation skills, negotiation, difficult conversations, relationship, small talk. I mean, I don't know. I think Star Trek had a lot of lessons for maybe some of what we're moving into.
I was thinking, I mean, you're right, definitely. The worrying ones, though, like from the original series again, like that episode, A Taste of Armageddon, I think it was called, where they're fighting a war, but not really. And then people just volunteer for suicide booths rather than bombing out cities and stuff like that. And then there's computers deciding who has been killed in inverted commas. And that feels a bit, I mean, it's a dark metaphor, but for computers deciding who gets hired and fired, I mean, it's not that dissimilar. I don't know, sort of terrifying.
Well, again, it's what's that word for the emotion of everything? I mean, I get a daily newsletter called Future Loop, which highlights just the innovations that are happening day in day. I mean, it's just incredible the future we're moving into from a healthcare perspective, from some of the innovations we're going to have around sustainability and climate change. I mean, there's just incredible things happening. But, every tool that humans have ever invented, I think since probably the stick, has been weaponized, has been used for ill. Every tool, whether that's a fire or a car or an airplane.
Yeah.
So, it's the human condition, it seems. And what's worrisome, at least as we look to the future, if you want to go the dystopian route, is some of the destruction can happen on a very different scale at this point than maybe in the past. And so, it's going to be fascinating to watch unfold. But there's so much good potentially if we can harness it that it's going to be really, really interesting. I think we're living at a fascinating time. I'm 53, so I remember black and white televisions in my house and 3 channels. And what we've seen just in my lifetime, I can't imagine what 53 years from now will look like.
Yeah, I just about remember. I'm a little way behind you, but I just about remember the black and white TV and the 4 channels. Yeah.
I think I watched back to Star Trek, Wrath of Khan on VHS. It came out on VHS. And so I think that's how I first watched it. But yeah, so interesting where we are.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, of course, all new technologies inevitably end up being used for nasty purposes. But I think, I mean, so aviation and aerospace, I actually think is a good example of the opposite. Because most of the developments in like modern aircraft were the result of wars or innovations by necessity in order to win a war.
Yes.
But now they've been repurposed, haven't they? Reused, like massive airliners wouldn't have happened without massive bombers. And, even simple bits of, I don't want to geek out on the aviation side of it too much, but even like the simple parts that make them more efficient, able to fly further and longer and safer, none of those things would exist had they not been developed to make sure the bombs arrived.
Well, yeah. What is it? It's probably healthcare and defense where so much of our innovation occurs, right? And so and even in the healthcare realm, we could say, well, how could there be a downside to that? Well, there's people right now at work, literally right now, trying to cure death. And, what happens when humans are living till 180 or 140, or maybe we don't have to die? There's people and billions of dollars being spent on working that puzzle. And so what are the ethical ramifications of that? What are the religious ramifications? I mean, it just, you get into this really kind of, everything has a shadow side. And, another version of that is I had a grandparent who they could keep him alive, but, at what cost and at what cost, at what quality of life? Yeah. So with some of that innovation always comes a little bit of a shadow. And again, it's just going to be fascinating to watch it all unfold. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me, stand-up comic. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Ricky Gervais, but it's talking about the extension of life piece and how, you might live an extra 20 years. Great. That's brilliant. But also, is it? Because it's not going to be 20 years of your 20s, is it? It's going to be 20 years of you struggling to like clean yourself and get out of bed. That's not, so quality of life is a thing, isn't it?
Well, and so this is interesting, David. I mean, read or listen to David Sinclair. He's at Harvard. He's a geneticist. Started with yeast, then moved to mouse models. Now his lab is on mammals. But, he's interested in health span as well. So it's not that we're going to be 120 and looking 100. I mean, look back 40 years and someone who was 53 looked different than I do. Because they'd been in the sun, they'd smoked and they drank, And so it's interesting. I mean, so these folks, they're trying to reverse age. In fact, I think there was one study, it's called the Horvath clock. And so it was a study where it was a small sample size. It was 9, I think, people. But Sinclair talks about this in the Lifespan podcast, if I recall, or maybe it's in his book, Lifespan. But it gave him 3 drugs. And essentially these 3 drugs reversed the age of these patients' blood by about 2 years.
Wow.
So interesting, right? I mean, it's...
How many times would it work? Can you only do it once? Or do you just do it every 2 years?
I think it was a daily drug. One of them might have been metformin, which is the diabetes drug.
Wow.
And so if you look up, for listeners, look up David Sinclair. He looks like he's 16 and he's been experimenting on himself for years.
Okay.
Now, there's another gentleman in the space named Aubrey de Grey, and he doesn't look like he's been experimenting on himself. But watch his TED Talks. I mean, they're really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know how this applies to the new year, though, right? New year, next.
No, I guess not. It is interesting, though. I mean, it always strikes me as well. Like, so even if we achieve immortality, the biggest challenge then is logistical, isn't it? Like, if nobody dies, where is everyone going to live? Like, we have overcrowding in major cities as it is.
Well, in the States, there was a wonderful sitcom called The Good Place.
Yes.
And so you can get into the final couple episodes of that series was just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, meaning shifts. Every institution shifts. I mean, till death do us part. Do I really love her or him? Because this is 150 or 200 years, it just changes everything. And, but yeah, the meaning of life shifts also. If there's no end. So what do I do with my time? And what does that mean at that point? So,
yeah.
Yes,
I mean, it's certainly like, what's the point of money and jobs at that stage as well? Like, yeah. I mean, it could be the thing that brings us into that utopian future, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and career. I mean, Steve is going to be in that role for the next 30 years. You have no promotion potential.
I mean, there's an argument that's already happening.
There is.
But yeah.
Some of the baby boomers aren't exiting.
Yeah, exactly. But they're also, because of that, not passing on their skill set, are they? So yeah, I do. I mean, this has come up a few times this year, actually, not just for this episode, but that kind of inevitable skill gap we're going to have when that generation does finally either leave or die off, or both, I guess, is who's going to do those sort of the manual labor jobs that are done based on their memory. So like aerospace engineers, for example, is one that always occurs to me. There are skill sets there that aren't being passed on as much as they were.
Yeah. And so this is interesting. I literally next week I'm dropping an episode of my podcast. Spoke with a gentleman who's at Emory, and this is just one use case example. This is one that he shared. So he said, we've developed an AI. It's called Tom, and that AI, essentially, what he did, this one use case, is he interviewed the world's expert on GLP-1s, the weight loss drugs.
Okay,
and basically, she has, I think it was 20 different variables or dimensions. and then a bunch of variables within each of those. But he made that explicit. So a lot of that's tacit knowledge or implicit knowledge. So he used a technology to kind of get into her head and have her talk through all of those dimensions. I think it took 2, 3, 4 hours. And then AI gave her a bunch of tests of sample cases, and she kind of shared how she would decide. And then she was given, I think it was 100. The AI developed 100 different use cases, and she answered, and they were aligned. So when a physician who doesn't know a lot about GLP-1s needs a second opinion, they can go to this agent, this service. I don't know what it would be. I don't have words for it yet. Is it an app? I don't know. But it's basically trying to get to her tacit knowledge and make it explicit. And then others in the world. So again, if you think about some of that in aviation, aerospace engineering, as some of these people who are retiring, are we mining their wisdom and their knowledge and capturing it? So, and then it's bounded in this. So it's not like ChatGPT is going out into the web, also combined with it's bounded with just her knowledge and what they did. And so that's, I don't know, it's kind of
yeah. I mean, it does require people to actually sit down and do that process, though, doesn't it? And I think that maybe is where a lot of industries are missing something.
Yes, but if it was real estate, I mean, you and I should start a business. I mean, it could be that maybe there's someone in Northeast Ohio where I live, or you're near Sussex, correct?
Yeah.
So who is the expert in flipping homes, or in construction, or in real estate, and how do we capture that knowledge? And then I could purchase that app or whatever it is for $100. And now I have a course from that individual, and I can use their system that has worked for them. I can talk with it. I can ask it questions. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. But then at the same time, ChatGPT frequently fails to answer basic questions, and it has access to all knowledge on the internet. So, do we trust it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think personally, I'm a long way away from trusting my health to AI.
David, we can have a fun conversation. I know plenty of humans that hallucinate as well.
Yeah, true. That's fair. That is fair. Or just make it up on the spot.
I think we like to say, it hallucinates. Well, yeah, so does Aunt Mabel.
yeah, or it's just plain wrong. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah, or they're just plain wrong or unethical, or yeah.
And yet I feel like I have no data to back this up whatsoever, but I feel like because it's technology, people will trust that it has the knowledge behind it. Whereas with a human, people are more likely to question it rather than just taking it at face value. I don't know. I might be wrong about that, but depends on the user, probably.
Yeah, and I think having that human in the loop, I mean, just like that GLP-1, and it was interesting because she said to the gentleman I had on the podcast, she said, "Look, we've got new research. We need to update the model with new research." So that was kind of an interesting development. But yeah, I mean, having a human in the loop, and I think that's why they're very much positioning this as a second opinion. It's not truth, and context changes, and as the context shifts, what works in real estate in Northeast Ohio or Sussex will shift as well. But it was a fun conversation, an interesting conversation that how some of this is being leveraged. And we'll see more of it in the coming year, 2026. Everyone seems to be using the terms AI slop and then agentic AI. So we'll see how those kind of pull it out.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds interesting. I'll look forward to that one. Definitely. And so with an eye on the time, just quickly then, what's your top advice for 2026?
Top advice for 2026, stay curious and explore and experiment. I mean, I have some people in my life who are in their 70s and their 80s, and they are still experimenting, whether it's with AI, like we've just been discussing, and really kind of exploring those tools and learning those tools, but also stay curious about some of kind of the shifts that are happening in the world. An individual, she works, Kathy Wood is her name, and her organization is called ARC. So you can go to ARC Invest. And for me, she had a phrase that really has been pretty sticky, which is, are you on the right side of change? And I think we're on the cusp of a lot of change. And are we on the right side of change? And so in 2026, that's a mantra that kind of continues to move through my head. Are you on the right side of change? So that's what I'm thinking about. I don't know if that's right, but I think it sounds good.
It sounds good. Yeah, I like it.
It's a shot.
And it makes sense. Yeah.
We'll meet again in a year and you can say, how'd that go?
Yeah, I keep meaning this is the third one this week, actually, of someone who was on last year's special. And I should have checked back and seen what your resolutions and things were last year. And then we could have marked your homework. But I forgot.
That would actually be a great intervention or experiment. Because I think it's only like 7 to 10% of humans can live into their New Year's resolutions. I think that's the stat from a few different
sounds
studies.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
Since I forgot, I've decided now that we'll do it on a 5-year basis. So now I don't have to think about it for another 3 years.
I like it. Well, happy New Year, David.
Likewise. Yeah. Thanks for joining us again, Scott. And yeah, all the best for the new year.
You bet. Be well.
So happy almost New Year. We'll be releasing this on New Year's Eve. So we're nearly there, probably.
If we release it on New Year's Eve, I'm probably already in bed.
Yeah,
me too, if I'm honest. It'll be scheduled. Yeah.
I mean, they put Jules' annual Hootenannies on record anyway, and they put it on YouTube, so you don't even need to watch it live anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, what else do you need? The fireworks and record that as well? Or just,
I don't even like fireworks that much.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, why don't we just sit in our lounge in Curdridge and watch fireworks in Sydney, London, and New York? It's like, no thanks, I'll just go to bed.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, cool. Well, that's a happy start to New Year.
Happy New Year! Happy, should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?
Oh, you know those lyrics. Blimey,
Emily, I've sang them for 47 years. Apart from
really?
The first go. Okay, 44. Because I wouldn't have sung for the first few years.
Right. Anyway, let's. I know time's an issue for you guys this morning, so let's move on. Biggest lesson from 2025. What's your big takeaway from this year?
And not that Chinese we had the other week. Whee! Oh, sorry. That's a dad joke.
That can be your answer if you like.
Biggest lesson
I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Biggest lesson from 25. 2025 was the realization that we know what we're talking about and to go back to some of the standards that we had when we first started our business and not listen to the noise. Stop listening to the noise was a big lesson we learned this year.
You know what? It is bizarre, and I won't take ages on this, but sometimes these things literally take a couple of years. So I think that takeaway, because I prefer takeaway because then I can make jokes about Chinese. That takeaway probably started 2 years ago, but it does really feel that it's hit its own, in the past kind of few months, since about September.
Yeah, it has. It has.
Okay. Anything particular that prompted this lesson, or?
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Life's a bit too short. And in the knowledge that we tend to do funny episodes with you, David, I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole of.
But it shows we have range if you go on the serious stuff, Emily. We're not just nonsense.
So I'm 42, Alan's 47, and okay,
age shame me.
21, 27, whatever you want to be. This year, I lost a very good friend of mine called Kat, who passed away in August at the same age as me. And she's not the first person I've lost around that same age sort of bracket in the last couple of years. And I was like, oh, crap. And it was all a bit of a shock. And then we've been chatting through our business over the last few months anyway about what we want it to be, how we want it to feel, what our end goal is. We've talked about that loads in the past anyway. What we want to be doing when we're 70. Are we still going to be working? Are we still going to be doing online visibility tips? Who knows? And when Kat passed away in the summer, it was a real big thing for me to go, actually, life's a little bit too short. It was a bit too short. And you can keep doing all the stuff you need to do to keep your business moving. You need to keep, being present and doing this and doing all the things and showing that you're a big business owner. But actually, when you get to that stage,
business,
what then? What have you got to show for it? Have you enjoyed that process? Are you still enjoy the ride? Are you taking that time and space to make sure that you are present with your family and friends and all that kind of stuff? So it made us shift a little bit to go, we are working very hard and we've been working very hard for 12 years together. how can we make sure that we're still enjoying the ride and not feeling the strain of it?
And it, yes. And it does take time, right? Because I was sat here thinking about, while Emily was talking, and I was thinking about why is it taking a couple of years? And the reality is you have all these little things that kind of prompt you. You have what's going on in your head. Then for us, because everyone's got their own versions of this. So for us, we've got 3 young children, 12, 10 and 8, who have all got their own stuff going on and the stuff we need to do for them. Then you've got the business. Then you've got your clients in the business, on the business. Then you've got your hobbies. Then you've got the narrative and noise that is literally spouted at us, at business owners, 24/7, including us, right? Because of what we do with the online visibility. Yeah. And we're like, I'm not surprised. Then you've got, oh, that needs cleaning. I judge my day with the kids. This is so bad, based on how many extra little jobs they give me. So like yesterday we finished dinner and Joseph knocked Emily's half pint of ale all over the table. So everything really then got wet. And then and obviously we went, oh, thank you for that, Joseph. What's the learning here? We didn't give him direct feedback for his ridiculousness. But then it's like, we've then lost, and this is such a minute example of my point, we then lose 10, 15 minutes tidying that up. Okay. But the day's full of stuff like that in the business and life. It takes time. So it has taken us 2 years to realize this, and including things like the tragicness of cats passing away and other people, right? And then, but one day you do wake up and go, actually, it's time for that change. It's been bubbling. Yeah. It's time. But then I think part of this is a bit of forgiveness to yourself that things do take time. We're part of the noise and narrative is I woke up and I made $1 million. I watched this amazing video on YouTube. I locked myself in my bedroom until my business turned over.
Because you were living with your mum.
And you were 19 years old. You didn't have to pay rent, have 3 kids, think about the mortgage, think about the bills, worry about the car breaking down. You didn't have it, which is brilliant, right? Well done. You. But when we look at those things, we have to remember our own realities. Perhaps that's part of my learnings as well, my takeaways.
I love that lesson. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of a certain well-known individual starting his first business and worked really hard and rolled his sleeves up and all that. And just all he had was that $1 million loan from his father.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm still hoping and praying somewhere deep in the deepest archives of our family. There's a great Auntie Mildred
come on, Auntie Mildred,
who's there going, I haven't got any kids myself. Emily,
I love watching their social media. One day I'm going to have to tell them I exist and give them £1 million. Don't worry, we'll have to make it instead.
It's either that or an unknown prince from a royal family in some foreign country, isn't it?
That comes with its own challenges.
I keep deleting those emails. They go into my spam box.
Do they? I don't think I get them anymore. These days it's mostly would you like automated outreach services or something? Yeah.
Well,
and podcast guests.
I get we get lead generation emails. We get
YouTube growth strategists
who, when we go, could we see your channel? Emily likes to chat to them.
Oh, it's my favourite thing. It doesn't serve me whatsoever. I've got, as Alan already said, we've got a lot to do in our busy day as it is. But sometimes I just like the back and forth of just playing them a little bit, just to keep them talking, to then go, no, I don't want your services.
Because
I used to get a lot of SEO specialists, and they always start the email with, I found your website on Google.
Oh, well done, so you could find us.
And I was like, that's my response. I was like, well, you found it, so
but that's
what can you help me with?
I do like a reframe. And basically, if you are getting these cold emails,
doing something right.
You're doing something right. 9 times out of 10, because sometimes someone's just sold your name on a list,
Yeah.
But take it, David. You're a very successful podcaster with a very good podcast. Of course, people want to be guests on your podcast. Of course,
I would take that.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. I think
200 episodes. Let's give David a round of applause.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nearly 210 by the time this one comes out.
You've done nearly 210 episodes, David. Yeah. Next to be flashing his guns. Oh no, that's just toxic masculinity.
I think you're right. And I do feel like the whole AI and automation piece, I think, is not helping the species in this. Alan and I have had this argument / conversation before.
David's wrong.
You may have these conversations and I'm not in the room, but he's got a very loud voice.
I go downstairs and I go, bloody David has no idea what he's talking. No, that's not true. I made that bit.
I don't know though. Like if it's about like you do you and stopping and smelling the coffee or whatever, and just making sure that
Time and
what you're
space.
doing matters to you. I think, I don't know. I don't see a role for AI in that. I think it's anything that removes that humanity from it is bad.
No,
in this context.
You're so wrong. Right? I said that on purpose. Clickbait trigger. Wait there. You're so wrong, David. There you go.
But
you can have that. Wait, I haven't finished.
Table flip.
We launched a video on our YouTube channel this week, and
I was going to finish that, by the way, with why David was wrong.
Oh, no one wants to talk about you and your AI.
No, very quickly.
Everyone
AI gives
right
you
though,
more
so.
time and space. Utilizing AI properly will give you more time.
Yeah, but
and
not
space.
enough people are utilizing it properly. That's
Well,
the
Yeah, it's that
that's a
properly
different
word, isn't
question.
it? But also, like that logic only stands if it's working. And so the YouTube and the podcast guest pitches I get are a great example of this. I had one just the other day where they have the first paragraph where they show that they've listened to your show and they understand what it's about.
Yeah.
And I get so many of these now. I
Copy and
can
paste
see
it.
the framework and they're all using the same one. And then they have the bit about would you be interested in, and then the bit about their guest and why they'd be valuable to the show, and then some sort of like quirky sign off. Clearly, is what the template says, and I get all sorts of weird ones. So I had one the other day. Yeah, and this first paragraph, the show that I've listened to the show, talks at great length about something that was mentioned in the show notes, but was never discussed in the episode. So I immediately know you haven't listened to the episode or anything else. And it's just
the
that's
ones that
AI
go,
wrong.
my boss is insisting that I reach out to you because he thinks you're amazing. And I'm like, oh, what did your boss say? And they went,
and they forward you
amazing.
this whole fake email chain of one person saying, oh, look at this show, you should hit him up. And I hate it.
I
hate it
had
so
a
much.
cold DM on LinkedIn a few weeks back now. I can't actually think. It might have been in November. No, it was definitely November. And I actually replied to him going, I think that's the best cold DM I've ever had. And it was basically, it was very short as well. So not like fluff like I would write. If I'm DMing like warm DM, like you get full on fluff with like note to self. And it basically said, oh, I wish I could remember exactly what it said. But it was like,
story.
yeah, do you know what? I'm just going to stop. It was that good. I replied and said, well done. I think that's the best cold DM I've ever had. But the key part was it was extremely short. I'm going to find it. I'll tag you in it.
I think my main thing with them now is I get like literally hundreds of these a week now. And when I know within like the first 3 words that it's just an automated generated one, no, it's not a good thing. It's an annoyance.
It is annoyance.
Like I know it's not a real person has written it. So I'm not going to read like an A4 page equivalent length email. I don't care what else is in it. I've just stopped at that point and immediately switched off. And that's why I think these automated outreach and AI and whatever in these applications, it doesn't work. Now, I'm a sample of one, obviously, but...
No. Yeah. Based on this one, I'm generally... You sound like my mum.
Yeah,
Alan,
the entire world is having this problem.
Everybody's so lazy. What? So the 8 odd billion people in the world, they're all lazy. They're all so negative, Alan. Everyone. It's like, Mum, Mum will don't listen to this. Like, Mum, you don't go out. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but on YouTube. Oh, okay. So based on that one YouTube video,
everyone's got issues with their internet. Everyone has got.
No, I know. I am conscious of that, but at the same time, I think for me and for my business, like if there's something that other people do that annoys me, I'm not going to do it to others. That's true. Yeah. That is true. So anyway, cool. True. Well, we're nearly out of time already. We've done one question.
We've got a few minutes.
Quick fire. Yeah.
All right. So I think the important follow-up question is, based on that lesson from this year, what's going to change in your approach next year?
That's a very good question. So the last thing from last year was that, and we put a YouTube video out this week as well, staying in your lane.
No, early December.
In early December, in early December, we put an episode, go and find it, about staying in your lane. Don't want to stay in my lane, really don't want to, and you can't tell me otherwise. And in fact, I am in the same lane. It's just a very wide lane. It's a very wide lane. You know, we can get a double-decker bus down it.
We had a note from someone when we put it out. That note, they DM'd us, and it literally went, my lane can't contain me.
My lane.
And I replied with, yes. That's the thing. Like this, so much of the noise in narrative is restrictive. What are they in your ideal client avatar? So I'm allowed to choose one person, type of person to work with. You know, are they stay in your lane? I can't do this. You know, and like our entire business is built on a brand that allows us to essentially do what we want. And do you know what? I don't know about you. I'm living my life. So why would I listen to someone telling me how they live their life for my life? And why would I tell you how to live your life?
So I think 2026 is going to see us playing a lot more and playing with seeing what works for us and what doesn't work for us. So if you see anything that we're putting out at the moment, a lot of that is event-based. And for some people, that might feel a massive tangent away from online visibility consultations and training. Absolutely.
Which we still do.
But actually, our skill sets from before this business was an event. So it's not actually a massive flex away from what we were doing before.
A massive flex away?
Oh, got it wrong. I was just going to carry on talking and ignore the fact that I got the wrong word. But
I
now
saw
it's on the recording. And now I
after
made
the
a big deal
Christmas
of it.
special when you made me feel small, Emily, I was looking for that.
So, we can still impact the current clients we have who are helping with their online visibility by helping them in more face-to-face environments, in more playful environments, in Morocco. I'm running a retreat in March in Devon.
The Funpreneurs Day Out. Everything we do still comes back to visibility in different ways. It's just not necessarily going to always be about hints and tips of how to do your SEO on your website, right? So a lot of people are struggling with their creativity, understanding where they're trying to grow their business to, what direction to take with their product lines. The things that we were going to be doing with our trips and our experiences and all of that will still help that current client base just in a fun way that feels right for us, that no one else can tell us we're doing wrong. And actually, if it doesn't work next year, we just tell you how to grow online visibility again.
We can try it the next time.
So it's really interesting. So we're at the Funpreneurs Big Day. I know we said we're this quick fire. At the Funpreneurs Big Day Out 2025, someone basically said, right, so the Funpreneurs Big Day Out, if you don't know what it is, we take a load of business owners to Poulton's Park for the day. The point is focusing on fun and people and actually cool content as well, because it's colourful and bright and everyone's smiling and laughing. And out the back of it, you get this organic personal growth that's about relationship building, trust, contact networking, like-minded people, all those things that happen off the back of it. Off the back of this year, someone actually said to us, so business does kind of happen at the Funpreneurs Big Day Out then. And we were like, are you kidding me? Just because we didn't have the word business in it and we didn't use the words networking and we didn't use this, they couldn't see past this. If you focus on people, your business will grow. And that's essentially what we are doing. We are betting on people is what we're doing. And going back to your AI stuff, it literally can't be wrong, because the more we do embrace AI, regardless of whether you like it or not, and the more we do embrace online, there is still, in our lifetime, people are gonna hug, hang out, laugh, meet face to face, and take that time and space for themselves. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I
found it very dismissive.
It's not that I hate AI, and I do see a role for it. I hate the way it's currently being applied by the majority of people who seem to be using
100%.
it, I guess.
100%.
And it's financial kind of, I think you and I had this conversation the other day, and then someone else had this conversation with me on Scout Camp, actually.
Your daughter?
No, it was the cub leader. But like the vast majority of, this is just not my world. I just stick to being, nonsense. But the vast majority of kind of financial market stuff, stocks and all that, is the same 7 companies buying and selling to each other, so perpetuating their own kind of financial success. And you go, that's absurd, right? But they're doing it, and it does make you go, I'm just going to sit on the sofa with the kids and have a hug, because I can't do anything about it. I wouldn't know where to start, could I actually, and everything else, which then goes back to, I'm going to sit on the sofa with the kids, or I'm going to see if a load of business owners want to come to Morocco with us.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great. And what's the point of owning and operating your own business if you can't do what you want? That's why we've all done it, surely.
It's no one else's business what we do and how we do it. If it's feeling right for us, then it's feeling right for us.
Yeah,
definitely.
Jack.
Yeah.
Jack's not a person. It was just a saying. Nervous. Yeah. If you called Jack, that wasn't aimed at you.
Or was it?
Or if it's that Jack.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great lesson to end a New Year special on, actually. So thank you very much for being with us.
Happy New Year.
Boo!
Yeah.
If we were in Mexico firing those Uzis, not all Mexicans, just some.
Wow.
I get to live with him.
Just going to make a note to cut that bit at the end.
Why are you hitting me again?
Lovely. Well, thanks for the fun, the laughs, the domestic violence. That's been an enjoyable conversation. Thanks, guys.
Same time next year?
Definitely.
Should we book it in now?
Cheers, David.
If you want.
Thank you.
Well, that was another marathon episode. Sorry, not sorry. Thank you to all of today's guests for sharing their experiences with us. Listener or viewer, do check those show notes or the description if you're on YouTube. You will find links to each of the guests' websites today, as well as info on the previous episodes they've done here on Leading with Integrity. And as always, I do encourage you, click on a few of those, if not all of them, hit those links, learn more about the amazing guests that you have just been listening to. And the year is nearly over now. So all that remains for me to say is a giant, massive, huge thank you for watching, for listening, for your support of Leading with Integrity this year. It's been a brilliant 12 months of podcasting for me and for the many guests that we've had. We hit our 200th episode milestone this year, and it wouldn't have worked without each and every one of you in the audience. So thank you. I wish you every success and happiness in 2026. I will be back next week, next year, same, with our regularly scheduled programming. And until then, Happy New Year and be a leader, not a boss.